All right, now we're live.
Noise.
What's going on, everybody? How's it going? Cali Death Podcast. We're back again for another episode coming at you live. We are episode 221 here. We have Imperishable. We got Robin from Imperishable, and also we have a welcome guest back, Mr. Dennis. Dennis Rondom, of course, from Spawn of Possession and Retromorphosis, and a guest vocalist on this new album that you guys made. So yeah, welcome, dudes. How's it going?
I'm really excited to be on this show, actually, because I've been a fan for like, I guess, 2 years.
Oh, sick, dude.
And
Thanks.
I was very glad when I heard that you were doing the drums for Retromorphosis, because I knew you beforehand. And yeah, it's a great podcast, like I told you before. So great to be here.
Oh, thanks, man. Hell yeah. I appreciate it. And welcome back again, Dennis. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, thanks, man. I just got back from Iron Maiden, of course.
That's why I wore the shirt. You told me that, dude.
Yeah. I
went to see them.
Yeah. Oh, my God. It was really good. Like,
who's drumming for him then?
Huh?
Who's drumming for him? If
his name is Simon Dawkins, I think.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, he's the drummer for British Lion, Steve Harris's other band.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. So, and he's not Nico or Clive, but he was good. He was really good.
Yeah.
But they were amazing. Like Bruce was like on spot on the ball and everything. It was great. The show was really cool, and the massive like Seven Son and Rhyme and Killers and Power Slave, like they played a lot of those songs. It was amazing. Seven Son was amazing. That was beautiful.
Oh, they played Seven Son. Okay.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. They played Rhyme and Clairvoyant, and
right. Yeah.
They played half the set was like hits, but then they played like they opened with Murders in the Room, Morgan and stuff like that.
Okay.
Which was amazing. Yeah. So so that was great. Hopefully they'll do more touring. You know, it's you get the feeling it's like the final tour, but I don't know. I have no idea. We'll see. It's like it's funny too. Like you notice their age because they kind of play in slow motion a little bit. Everything's just like forward, like 10 BPMs. You know, like they move a little slower, they play a little slower, but it's the feeling is there, the vibe is there, so it's all good.
And I mean, then again, Ozzy Osbourne did his final tour in '91, so.
Exactly.
I know, right? Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. The final tour. Yeah. Speaking of which, dude, that show that's coming up that they're gonna stream live, I'm totally gonna get that. The last Black Sabbath show, whatever.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be like all in the morning here, I think, like live. But there's a bunch of bands playing. I think Metallica and Pantera and a bunch of bands are opening. I think is Iron Maiden playing that? I can't remember. I think they are. But that's going to be interesting, you know. So,
where's that in England?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I think it's in London, but yeah, it's definitely in England.
It's either London or Birmingham. I don't know, but it should be Birmingham, but
right.
Probably sold out. I guess.
Oh, yeah. The show's definitely sold out. Yeah, so you can like buy it on pay-per-view. It's like $30 or something to watch it live. You know.
Oh wow.
But I'm sure
it's cheaper than the actual tickets to the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
$300-400 at least.
Wow,
dude. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. It's not Taylor Swift prices, but hey, it's you know.
Almost.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I mean, like Ozzy, like I mean, I saw Black Sabbath in 2016, And I think that was one of their last or their final tour or something. It wasn't with Bill Ward on drums though, but it was still really great. It was super good. And then
was it with Tommy Clofiros, or what's his name?
I probably, dude. I can't remember who it was.
It looks like an animal with, he's all over.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, he was perfect. It was
a great drummer.
Yeah. Then we saw him in 2017. Me and Joseph went, and was that the show that I think we saw Children of Bodom and stuff? So it was like around that time. It was like Ozfest. He was having some trouble with his voice because it was like, and when I saw him with Sabbath the year before, he was playing perfect. It was perfect. And then, but the Ozzy show, he was having some trouble, and I think it was like cold, but it was still really great. It was all good. And then we had tickets to see him or something, and all got canceled. It was before COVID and all that. But I think he just, and then it got like rescheduled to the next year. Then eventually they just gave up. They're like, no, man. So,
but I don't know. I'm not super involved in Black Sabbath. I mean, I listen to them once in a while, but I saw them I believe in the 90s in a Swedish festival called Hultsfred, where that was a reunion thing, and Ozzy was talking all kinds of shit. It was really funny, but they were really good. But I think that was the first reunion thing they did.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
What year was that?
Somewhere between 95 and 2000.
So they did one single in the late 90s. I can't remember what that was, but so it has to be around that time.
Yeah. And it was a really big thing, and everyone at the festival went to see that show. So it was like a bizarre amount of people, and Ozzy came out and was rambling and just being Ozzy. It was super cool to see him like that, But yeah, it was just my memory. That's the only time I saw Black Sabbath, actually.
Yeah, totally, man. Cool. Well, yeah, dudes, let's kick it off here. We'll do some plugs real fast, and then we'll get into the whole shebang here. So, Anthony, by the way, is going to be on. He had a little change of plans real fast for Father's Day type thing. I think he's golfing with his dad right now, and he's going to be on pretty soon. He thought it was going to be on Sunday. Tomorrow is Father's Day here, but yeah. So I am doing my best to host here, and we'll kick it right off with our usual plugs. We go to battleforgecoffee.com. Get your coffee fix there. Our homies in Deeds of Flesh Coffee Company, good stuff. The Mean Bean. And as Mike Hamilton would always say, it'll get you jacked, son. That explains it. And then we got Generator Rehearsal Studios here in Oceanside. This is where my buddy Ben runs the studio that was my music school before, but now I have a room there and I teach out of it, and we jam and I practice, and I need to practice more. But I got some good stretches from PT this week. Did my first PT session, so I'm going to work out my glute muscles here so I don't injure myself again trying to play these ridiculous songs that everyone writes. And yeah, cool, man. Pretty much that's it for us, I think. Yeah. So what about you guys? Where can for Imperishable, first of all, even though we're all talking about, we're going to have a lot of great conversations tonight about music and all this kind of stuff, but I really do want to get into a lot of Imperishable, this new album. It's really great. And we got a lot of positive feedback posting the flyer and stuff, and people like you guys, man. So, but where can people go to, check out? I mean, obviously it's on all the streaming stuff, but buy merch, support the band. Where do you recommend they check that out? Robin, if you want to.
Yeah, buy merch.
Okay. So where do you guys have it on your website, or is it like on
yeah, it's if you go to our social media channels, we have links, but I think it's imperishable.bigcartel.com.
Okay. Yeah.
And I guess it's like 10 shirts right now. We will update it eventually with more stuff, so more stuff coming up, and hopefully some vinyl and CD and maybe even cassette for people who like that.
Cool. And all the collectors out there.
Yeah.
Speaking of shirts, I noticed right away too. We got a comment about your Cynic shirt there. So that's the original Cynic logo, right, from the demos and stuff.
Yeah, it's from their 1988 demo.
Yeah, that shit that's some really great shit. That legendary. Cynic. I mean, all of Cynic is great, but yeah, that stuff is.
And I mean, one of my favorite bands of all time. I like their newer stuff as well, but as we all know, Focus from '93, what a masterpiece.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how many times I have, listened to that album and just my jaw still drops every time. It's ridiculous. So and I'm not as much into this one in particular, the first demo, but I mean, it's a cool shirt, so I bought it.
It's a cool shirt, yeah.
And it's not an original because I don't know if that one exists. I don't know. I don't think they ever printed these shirts in 1988 when they were like 14. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
15 maybe. I don't know.
It's an original pressing. But dude, this shirt's from '88. Yeah, there was one Iron Maiden shirt that I always really wanted, and it was like, I think they might have made them now again, but I remember seeing one for sale like on eBay or something, and it was like all expensive for some reason. But it's like when they did a Hawaiian tour back in the '80s or '90s, and it's like Eddie surfing. There's like a shark on him or something like that, and I just remember just being like, dude, like I want this shirt. It was like a white shirt, and I was just like,
surf's up.
Yeah, I know, it's super funny, but I think they've since made that again. I'm almost positive. I think my buddy got one at like the last show we went to, and it was like by popular demand. They're like, reprint the Surfing Eddie.
Oh, cool! I've never seen that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I found a Morbid Angel tour shirt once that I actually bought. I have it somewhere in storage, and it's a tour shirt from. I think maybe Blessed Are the Sick when they toured Australia and New Zealand. I don't know if you've seen it. It has a really goofy dragon on it. It looks really silly and goofy, and that's why I had to buy it and embarrass myself in it. But it's a cool shirt. But I don't have it I have it tucked away somewhere. But it's fun with those unique kind of like those shirts.
Yeah. It was funny. We did a show on last Sunday with our student bands, and I have a friend who's a friend of Ben's, and I'm doing drum. I'm teaching him drum lessons and stuff too. But he's a bit older than me, and really great guy. Shout out Trevor. And his band Fire Vipers played, and they're really cool, man. It's really like a sick kind of psychedelic like style, and with a girl singer, it's really good. But we're like getting ready for the show and all this, and I look over on his shirt, and it's like a metal shirt. I'm like, that's cool. What is that? And it took me a second. I'm like, oh, it's a Retromorphosis shirt. I was like,
really?
what, dude? He's like, yeah, man, gotta support, bro. Like, and he like, it's really funny. And yeah, it's pretty funny, dude. Like, actually, it kind of got around at work a little bit too, because one of my supervisor guys, he's a big metalhead and stuff, and he kind of was passing it on to some of my other bosses, and they're all just like, dude, that album, like I listened to your album and all this, and I'm like, oh shit, like I'm getting a text from the boss, like I'm like, oh fuck, what's wrong? And then it's like, hey man, I heard your album. I'm like, oh, whew. Okay. Like, it's pretty funny. But yeah, speaking of albums, man, so what I kind of like to do is, like, we definitely would love to get into your backstory, Robin, and stuff. Obviously Dennis is a veteran here, and we've heard his backstory too, but we definitely want to spend some time talking about your musical background and stuff like that. But I just think taking a second to just kind of talk about this new album. When was the release date for it?
April 11. So
okay. Yeah,
like 2 months ago.
Gotcha. Yeah, and basically it's like I was saying kind of on the pre-pod, it is just a ridiculous sick album. Dennis, I think, or I don't know who I got in contact with first about it, but kind of at the same time we were both discussing it, and Dennis told me, hey, I did, or it got posted. That's right. I'm posted on the Retromorphosis page that Dennis had done backing vocals on a couple of the tracks, or a few of the tracks. And instant, just like, I got to check this out, and and it's just really cool. Like the style of it, the like, you know, what like you were saying, like the Swedish metal kind of like, it's got a lot of influences, you know, and it's really, really solid, great sounding music. So yeah, I want to get into all that stuff and the genres and everything. But what stood out to me right away in the beginning is the recording. So the recording is just fantastic, you know. So who recorded this again?
Yeah, I recorded the guitars at my place, but then again, they were reamped in Andy's studio, Andy LaRock from King Diamond.
Oh yeah.
But I can't really take credit. I can only take credit for the playing. But I mean, the sound is great. He very easy guy to work with, you know. And
that's insane. Where is his studio?
It's in Varberg. It's like 40-minute drive south of Gothenburg on the coast, west coast of Sweden. So
dope, dude. Is he Swedish?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
he's from Gothenburg originally.
Okay. Cool. Because he was in that Death album, right? He was in was it Individual Patterns? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I mean, he told me all kinds of stuff about that time. And it was like 2 weeks or something he was in the band. And I don't know if it was, you know, meant for him to be a permanent member. I don't think so, but he showed up. They rehearsed the songs for 1 week. They recorded his solos for 1 day or so. Wow. And then he just left because he had other obligations with King Diamond.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, what a legend, dude. That's so sick. I had no idea he even recorded and did all that. Did a freaking great job, man. And like, I mean, obviously the whole combined effort, but it sounds incredible. Like, I love the guitar tone is really, really good. It's just like, I want to talk about all that too, but just real quick, what stood out to me is some of my favorite things about the album, besides just the overall recording being like pretty much perfect. The toms, dude, on the drums, so good, dude. Like, they're like kind of separated or they fit perfectly in the mix, but they stand out. Like, they're not like buried in the drum sound. Like, it's really good. I'm like, whoa, every time he goes, I'm just like, yes.
Like, I know what you mean. I'm no audio engineer, so I can't, you know, explain why it sounds the way it sounds. But I mean, my brother, who is the drummer of the band, Niklas, he's a great drummer, and it always begins with the performance. You guys know that. So not to take credit away from, you know, the sound of the actual recording, but I guess the playing is where it all starts. That's where, you know, that's where it sounds good. And after that, you can only polish it. And, you know, you can't do everything, but you can do a lot of things.
I watched for the first time. I think the first time I watched Imperishable, they played here in my town. How long was that? A month ago or something?
Yeah, May 10th.
Yeah, and obviously, as an old drummer, I studied Nicholas play, and I, just as you said, Casey, I was mighty impressed, you know, when I heard this stuff, and I'd heard him before, you know, and but watching him live, you know, I can just attest to that he's a pretty hard hitter. You know, he really he digs in. He put up some great clips when he played now with Disruption down at Sweden Rock, right?
Yeah.
And you can really see he digs into the snare, he digs into the toms, like he becomes part of the drums. You know, he doesn't just sit and fiddle. He really like digs into it, and I love that stuff. Like Dave Culver, you know, commanding style. You know, there's a bunch of drummers that have that, and I just love that, you know.
And we did some filming actually when he recorded the drums, because he did the whole album in like 1 day. So
wow,
jeez.
Yeah, and I mean, we never rehearsed the songs, we just wrote them, me and him, and then we you know, go down to Andy LaRock studio, and then it's just in one or 2 days. If you put all the hours together, it's 1 day, but maybe 2 days. But 4-hour sessions.
Yeah.
Wow, man,
I mean, it's all depending on the style. I mean, you can hit a snare like that if you play odious mortem stuff or Recomopsis or cabinet. I mean,
yeah,
it's
right,
not possible. So it depends on the style. But yeah, he's a hard hitter, and I think the most drummers I like and that he likes are hard hitters. I mean, Neil Peart from Rush, Bron Daler from Mastodon also hits very hard. I think I'm no expert, but so yeah, most great drummers hit hard.
Like my favorite since I started playing drums, Igor Cavalera.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know, those old when he plays like those old stuff from Arise and Beneath Remains, and even KCD, he really hits the drums. And of course, when the guy who took over, Casagrande, who plays with Slipknot now, that guy is just ridiculous. That's like he's crazy. Like, he hits 3 times as hard as anyone else. He's insane.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Just side note.
Well, I think it comes through too on the album for the Imperishable stuff that there's an energy to it that it sounds so like how it should sound, I guess is the way I'm trying to say, like the like aggressive energy, but like it's really just in the pocket, like it's really controlled. It's like this really just solid sound, and so I think that his drumming like gives this like excitement and energy to the music, and then matches the guitars because everything's just so like locked in, and so I think that really shines through. I was gonna say like I love all the tracks on it, but my 2 favorites so far, at least, and that sometimes changes, but as of right now, Bleed and Cenotaph are my favorite 2 tracks. But yeah, it's just a great listen, man. It's one of those albums that you just keep listening to it, and I'm just like, I find new things every time, and I'm like, I keep wanting to listen to it, So I
knew you would like Cenotaph.
yeah, shit's sick, dude. Yeah,
it maybe the fastest song, I think.
Yeah,
and a lot of riffs. So yeah,
I think it's great too that you guys mix a lot of things so well. Like there's bands that do like, or there's styles like of old school versus like, but then there's blast beats, and then there's like, so there's like really cool, I don't know, everything mixes together really nicely, like all the styles, and like when it goes into a blast beat I want it, I'm like, yeah, it just fits right, like nothing is too much in one direction. It's like balanced really well, so it's a fun listen, man. It's a great album.
Well, thank you so much.
Of course, dude. Yeah,
I mean we never discuss beforehand how a song should, if it's gonna be a fast song or a mid-tempo song. We just kind of, I write a few riffs and then we'll see. And sometimes Niklas, he comes up with beats that I shouldn't say beats because that's hip hop, but but sometimes a song can end up in a way that I could not have imagined, and Cenotaph is one of those songs. I guess I had more of a mid-tempo idea with Cenotaph, but it ended up the fastest song. So yeah, obviously.
Since we're on the topic, I mean, Dennis, that's one of the songs that you're on, right? So how did that come about? Like getting you on those tracks, and might as well discuss it right now.
Yeah, well, I think you wrote me, Robin, and just asked like, hey,
yeah,
you do some vocal stuff, and of course I said yes.
I mean, we can dig into that later, but I've always been a huge fan of Spawn of Possession, and first time I met Dennis was at Salt Island Studio, where and the recording of Cabinet, actually.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it was like 2002 summer.
Nah, Cabin. Yeah, 2002, the summer of
Yeah.
2002.
Because it was released in March of 2003, so it must have been the summer of 2002.
Yeah.
Me and my bandmate at the time, we went to the studio because it's like 2 kilometers from where I grew up, so it's a 10-15 minute walk. So we headed out there and talked to Dennis, and back then I was shy and didn't say much, but awesome experience. And so I've been a big fan of Spawn of Possession since the Forbidden demo, actually.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Nice.
We had a huge scene in the south of Sweden at the time.
Well, you know what? This is
yeah.
a perfect time. We got someone that just showed up, by the way. Hey.
Hey guys. What's going on, dudes?
Our arrangement going here. Finally, our
Host made it, dude.
captain is here. Everything's going to be good. Now I can be co-pilot and sit back. So we were just, it's actually perfect time, Anthony. We were just kind of warming up and talking about little touching on the new album a little bit, and kind of how Dennis got involved with them. But it's kind of leading us back into, well, hey, you guys have been friends a long time, and the Swedish scene. So it's kind of a perfect time, I think, to veer back, take this ship and turn it.
Totally, dude.
Let's hear. I mean, Robin. Go ahead, Anthony. You fill in my words.
First, let me just say, Robin, nice to meet you, brother.
Nice to be here. Like I said to Casey before, I've been listening to you guys for like 2 years now, and
that's awesome, dude.
Great podcast. Yeah, I don't listen to every episode because I don't have time, but I mean,
yeah, we kind of go along on these.
Listen, no matter who's on, and I guess because of this format, it's not just, oh, what year were you guys forming the band? What members are in the band? Blah blah blah. What record company is using your blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
It's personal experience. It's
well, thank you, dude. And I mean, that's totally what we like to do, is just hang out with the bros, dude, no matter where you're at on the planet,
nice.
We talked, underground metal and death metal in general is just a worldwide brotherhood, and we like to hang with people, know them as people. So why not do it this way instead of having to? I've never had a list of questions in front of me that I knew I was going to ask, and because conversation will take us to wherever it's going to take us, and you get to know people.
And I guess that's how it's supposed to be, I think.
Totally, dude.
But from my viewpoint, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts or read a lot of interviews, but this is the most, my type of listen when I have the time to listen. So.
We always, it's like the backstage conversations, or the outside smoking a cigarette at a show conversation, those types of vibes is what we're trying to give off. So I'm glad you're into it, dude. And Dennis, thanks for coming on. It's really good to see you again, brother.
Thanks. Thank you, sir. It's good to see you, man. Everything all right with you, man?
Everything's great, dude. I've been up since 4:30. I went out and golfed with Pops for Father's Day weekend this morning. So I'm fresh off the course, played one of the shittiest rounds I've ever played in it was still fun. Yeah, dude. Cool. What about you guys? It's what, like 8 something, almost 9 for you guys now?
Yeah, 8:30. We got the beer going. It's Saturday.
Nice, dude. I got the coffee going.
Yeah,
actually,
I'm still waking up.
I won't. This is we only plug one kind of coffee on this channel, so I won't tell you who this is from. But it's carnivorous, dude.
Oh, cool.
It's not from the, obviously it's not our logo, but the wife got it for me one year because it said carnivorous.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Nice.
So cheers. I got my caffeine. You guys got your brewskis and
various types of alcoholic beverages.
I'll be getting into those later on tonight for sure. Got a buddy's birthday that we're going to be celebrating, so I think I'm going to be diving into some whiskey tonight.
Ooh.
Yes, sir.
Cheers.
All right. Well, cheers, dude. And so yeah, now that I'm here, we can start at least a timeline, you know. So we've obviously had Dennis on several times and heard. Let's talk about you, Robin. That's really the only main question. I know we don't have a list of questions, but just to kick it off, take us back to childhood, dude, and what part of you, like the earliest memory you could think of where you connected creatively with something, music, art, film, cartoons.
I think I did that so early I cannot even remember what time was the first one, but like the first time where I really, you know, thought I got interested in music was when my dad, because he has a great record collection at home, and he was always playing loud music at home.
Nice.
And I mean, of course, he was playing a lot of stuff, but the thing that caught my ears at the time was when I heard Enter Sandman by Metallica. So
sick.
And you can say whatever you want about that album, but for a lot of people, including myself, it's a gateway, which leads into, you know,
there's no shame in
Morbid
that.
Angel and, you know, Disavowed and Spawn of Possession.
Right. It's the seed that was planted, you know.
Yeah.
And then you grow and you start to want to dig. Well, the plant can't dig, but you know what I mean.
So and I mean, my parents were always playing music at home. Everything in between, you know, Black Sabbath and ABBA. And one of my first music memories is, I guess it's when Freddie Mercury passed and The Show Must Go On was always on the radio.
Yeah.
And I still have a very emotional connection to that song.
Dude, I mean, that band in general, Casey, I mean, Queen's always been on the radio for me, and I always, you know, enjoyed the songs that were on the radio, but it was Casey that really broke that band open for me. And not to go on a Queen tangent, but what was that Blu-ray, that live Blu-ray that we used to play all the time at the Daly City apartment?
Your internet's breaking up a little bit. You might want to consider restarting or restarting your modem, but it's not a big deal. Just a heads up. But yeah, that's a live Queen. I can't remember which one it is. It's one of those main ones that like they're like, you know,
Live Aid
era, and it's not that one, but I have that one too. But it's one of the other ones. Like I think they're slightly before that, but it's like he's doing the whole piano, you know, Bohemian Rhapsody, and just. You know, I put it on at a party. We were doing a karaoke party one time, and I've told the story before, but it was like the entire party went silent and was just watching this live Freddie Mercury thing. And we were just all like wanting to start crying. It was like so ridiculous.
Dude, I mean, am I still crackly when you hear me right now?
No, it's okay.
Okay. I just turned the gain down a little bit and got a little bit closer.
It was the internet connection, not your mic.
Oh, okay. Either way,
I'll let you know.
Cool. But I was gonna say real quick that the last thing I want to say about Freddie Mercury in that Blu-ray, that is the quintessential front, because you know there's no lip singing. He's, you know, balls to the wall, dancing the whole time, jumping over and ripping on the piano, and then he's up again. Dude, he's just all over the stage. It was just, I was in awe watching that for the first time. I had to go purchase it like the next day.
Yep.
All right. So
great singer, probably one of the best singers ever.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Just not just because his range is ridiculous, but he's and I mean it's a subjective opinion, but I know everyone doesn't, you know, enjoy his voice, but I think it's one of the best voices. I like the frequency I'm hearing. So.
Agree.
Fully agree.
So you said that song stuck in your mind. What, like, it was on the radio, and like
and of course it's one of several songs, I guess, from the time. But I don't know. It's if we fast forward to, because in 91, 92 I was like 4 years old. So, but was first when I was like 6 or 7 when my dad showed me the Black Album. So
totally.
And that, so you're basically just going off of your dad's record collection up until a certain point, and then
yeah. And I mean, it was like that for the next 10 years or so, because I mean, back then you had no internet, you had no Spotify or YouTube or and where I grew up at the time, we didn't have, you know, a lot of friends with records at all. So I had my dad's collection, and thankfully he had everything. So
I just noticed I noticed the snake on the hand. That's the one on the Black Album. Yep.
Of course.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have recently, you know, that's the thing about the Black Album. I don't understand why there's certain guys that have shame for admitting that was their way in, you know. I mean, obviously after that stuff it's kind of questionable for somebody who,
I mean, I can understand everything. I can understand both viewpoints, I should say, but I don't really care anymore. I cared a lot when I was 14, 15 maybe, and tried to persuade people to, you know, if you like Injustice for All, you have to like the Black Album. Why don't you? Blah, blah, blah. But who cares? I mean, if you don't like one album, there's millions more. Go on, move on with your life, you know.
I think that I think we had the Black Album was a little bit of a talking point when we did the retro podcast.
I
think Bristling commented on his opinions.
He's on the other side of that.
Yeah, I know.
But and he's always brutally honest like that.
Totally.
But I was just going to say, I think also, because I remember that time, I was 13, 14 when that one came out, and it was a big thing, and everyone listened to it, and I had just gotten into like the heavier stuff of Metallica. Now, mind you, I liked the Black Album. I thought it was like super heavy, and the production was insane. It was so good, that production with the loud drums and stuff.
Oh yeah, dude.
But the old timers, because I was hanging with dudes who were like a couple years older than me, and they had started transcended into death metal. For them, it became like that. The Black Album, it was certainly not true enough. It became like a principle thing. And it's like, can we just listen to it for what it is and enjoy whatever? But I realized that very early on that, you know, some bands, and the whole sellout thing, you can take any band. As soon as it changed, it's like, it becomes divisive. Some people stay with the old stuff, and some people move just with the new, and some people don't care. They just listen to whatever's good. And obviously Metallica is laughing all the way to the bank with that one. I mean, it was. I remember the hysteria around that album. It was huge. That year was insane with Guns N' Roses, Nirvana, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think it's funny that it's kind of, people are like, it's kind of divisive. Like people are kind of on one side or the other about it, you know? It's just funny. It's like, I mean, it's like, dude, I'm kind of in the middle with it. Like I mean, I like the older stuff more, but like I think the Black Album is got some great stuff on it. You know, like the Unforgiven is great, and even like Sad But True, and like those like heavy, and like the way that the recording is, and so some other ones I can't think of at the moment. But like basically, I mean, it's not like Load and Reload and all that, and the, you know, it's totally different. And but it was a changing. I mean, I could see like if you were at that age, if you were older back then, and you were like, get it, because we've had some guests on, I can't even remember who, it doesn't matter, but they're like, oh, it was such a, like, that was like my favorite band, and then all this, and then, you know, and then all of a sudden they went that more kind of rock kind of route, and like they were getting, just like you said, they were getting more into death metal already, so that it's easy for them to just be like, oh, fuck that shit, dude, it's all about, you know, and just talk shit on it, you know. But like for us, I mean, I'm a little younger than you, Dennis. I think I was like, what, like 8 or something when it came out, or whatever, 91. And so like I was like, all of us loved Metallica back then, and we were like, this shit's sick. Like, I mean, I remember like my buddy, I have this like memory like from growing up where my buddy's dad worked on motorcycles in the garage, and he would be like playing like Metallica all the time, and he would play the Black Album shit. I remember just being like, so fucking cool. Like, this shit's rad. So I think it's like, you know, like if you weren't if you were like our age or younger, just like around that time, I mean, it was just so. Yeah, I mean, I think it's it's one of the best recordings ever. And I mean, it's such a good recording. Like in every aspect. So it's a pretty legendary record. I mean, it sold a lot too. So obviously, yeah. But
so all right. So in adolescence, when did you start digging on your own, and was it a friend or something that got you into more like extreme stuff?
I can't remember, but I guess it was a friend of mine, a bandmate at the time, showed me At the Gates.
Nice.
Which by the time I was aware of them, it's like 7 years after they broke up. So let's say or maybe 5, I don't know, but let's say 2000, 2001, somebody showed me Slaughter of the Soul.
Yep.
And I should not mention it before this, there was actually and obviously Slayer and Possessed and those types of bands, but because I was a huge fan of in particular the Bay Area thrash scene of the 80s and early 90s, and I still am, because saw a lot of great records from that time period. And
most definitely.
But when I heard At the Gates, and then like in the same week or month, I heard Morbid Angel, I heard Decapitated, I bought Perceptive Deception by Disavowed.
Damn, you just
Forgotten by Suffocation. I could go on and on and on.
That's crazy that you did it that quick, dude. It's just like
it was like in 1 month I went from what the fuck is growling and I hate it to that's the coolest thing I have ever heard in my life.
That's rad.
I went from buying like only Metallica and Megadeth and Slayer to only death metal for like 5 years or something.
Yeah.
Only death metal.
That's killer, dude. So so then when did you start like wanting to get involved in music?
I think I can actually remember from like when I was 6 or 7 when I heard Metallica, and I started to dig deeper into that band overall. I started to have fantasies about my own band, and I wrote stories of a fictional reality where I had a band where I did all the music, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I would when I would listen to bands before I was even before I was in any band, I would listen to it and me being the vocalist, or even like I could imagine myself being the drummer or the guitar player. But I'm also from the view of watching myself on stage is kind of conceited in a sense, but really it's like that feeling, putting myself in the performer's shoes is what made me like decide, okay, I'm gonna go try and do it myself.
Yeah, exactly. And I started that pretending show in my head. But I didn't actually start playing guitar until I was like 11 or something.
Okay.
I got a Stratocaster copy, the cheapest guitar available right now. And
did you go to Pops? Did you go to your dad? Sorry, did you go to your dad and say you wanted a guitar, or did you save up your money to go get it?
Yeah, I told him, and he right away he got me one. So
obviously, yeah.
So my parents have always been supportive,
rad,
which helps a lot.
Most definitely, dude.
Did you take lessons, or were you self-taught, or?
I'm self-taught. I mean, when I got that guitar at 11, obviously I started playing Metallica, and Black Album is the most easy stuff to, trying to play when you can't play shit, but very, like connected to this is when I bought Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. and then I started to quickly developing my ears, and so I'm self-taught. I've never taken lessons at all, and I hate practice. I never practice. I've never done that ever. Apart from, of course, before a show, I have to know what I'm playing.
Right.
I'm not stupid, but I don't sit around playing scales, or actually I understand theory, but I'm not interested. I've never been. I like what I'm hearing, and if I like what I'm hearing,
That's it. That's really the only thing you need.
Yeah. So that's that.
Did you learn did you get tab books or whatever back then, or did you learn by ear or combination, or how did you learn?
By ear.
By ear. Okay.
Yeah. Only.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And the funny thing is, I used to do this for like 2-3 years before I even told anyone of my mates that I was playing, and I don't know why, but when I told them, we started a band, and then like 2 years later, we had a band called The Shattering, where we like recorded in the same Salt Island studio where Spawn recorded, I think, both Cabinet and the demos, I think, right, Dennis?
No. The only thing we recorded in Salt Island was the guitars and bass and main vocals for Cabinet. The demos was all recorded in Palma, but we recorded most stuff for Visceral Bleeding, the first Visceral Bleeding in Salt Island.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
It's hazy. It's been a while.
But basically, that's where we released only one album under the Shattering moniker.
How old were you at the time?
14.
Nice, dude.
When did you release that album? I remember that album.
Spring 2005, maybe.
Yeah. But it was super fast.
Yeah. I guess it's not Spawn of Possession technical, but
the drummer was playing that Sappho beat really. I forget who was the drummer on that.
Max.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What is the album? I want to type it out for our listeners.
Yeah, you should check it out.
What's the band was called? What again?
The Shattering.
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 And then what was the album?
The Shattering Begins.
And could we find that on YouTube or anywhere?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's not on streaming services, I think, but it's in the works, I guess.
Nice, dude. And you're 14 at the time. That's rad.
Yeah, and so my development actually was 11. I started playing guitar by ear, and in 3 years, that's where I'm at that time. So went pretty fast. But I mean,
all the other guys in the band, were they around that same age too?
Yeah, they were classmates of mine. So
wow. All right, I'm definitely intrigued.
Can I ask, Robin? Tell me if this is true. But I heard, my brother, he gave me shit. He was like, "Why are you playing death metal?" He always gives me shit. And it's just, "Why are you playing that shit? Why don't you become a great songwriter, like a big producer kind of guy?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not interested." And he told me that a dude named Max from your parts had become this. He had written tracks for Ghost and all this stuff. And I thought to myself, because the Max, that guy, I think he was like an intern in Palma Studio, right? At one point, that's where I met him, I think.
No, he was the one with me when we saw you in Salt Island back in 2002. So,
but is he the guy?
Sorry, what?
Is he the guy that made it? Who became a songwriter?
Yeah, of course. The other guys of the sharing, we are, we have regular jobs,
Yeah.
Sorry, dudes. But yeah, but he's right now he's a producer. He's working with Shellback in Stockholm, and at this point he's writing. He has done the latest Ghost album with Tobias.
That's
He's based on like all the songs, and he has written half of them, I think. So
yeah, that's what I heard. That's insane.
Yeah,
that is. Wow.
Ghost is like huge.
Yeah,
Totally.
They
Well,
have
good for
gone
him.
from a demo band to arena rock in 10 years. So
Yeah.
Damn.
at this stage in time, it's very impressive.
Yeah, but that's kind of cool. He was in your band, and he was the drummer.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and he plays the drums on that Shattering record as well.
Yeah, and that's fast stuff.
This is
Yeah.
very intriguing, dude. I'm definitely gonna be listening to that very soon.
Yeah, me too. Cool.
So one album, did you guys do any shows and touring on that record?
Never.
Oh,
okay. At the time, we were too young to even comprehend that you should, actively contact people to do something for you. So we just hung out, rehearsed. I think wrote 2 more songs, and then nothing happened, and we just, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
But now, like 20 years later, you know why. But at the time, we didn't understand why nothing happened.
Did you?
But I guess we didn't have so much people around us who were guiding us in the right direction. And at the same time that this happened, we were heading to like high school, and the music education in Sweden, and we got into all sorts of stuff, and we continued playing, but in other styles. We played jazz and fusion, and we played
nice
all kinds of stuff. So
same guys. So then that was actually my next question, was if you had stuck with any of the guys after that.
Yeah, we hung out for a couple of more years, and then after high school, it's like, no matter how tight you are, at least here, people move to different locations. Someone moves to Stockholm, someone moves to Gothenburg, like I did.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of, I mean, we still have, we talk regularly on the phone or text messages or whatever, but we haven't played for like 10, 15 years now, which is sad. But
yeah,
and then you get families, and so kids, and
yep, totally, dude. So what was after high school, what was the next project that you were involved in?
At the time, it was a lot of different ones, and really nothing much to, it was more projects where it was not much recording going on. But I had a few bands where I mean, like I said, I've always loved the Bay Area thrash scene. So we had a band called Schizophrenia, which later on changed name to Mr. Green, and we played for like 2-3 years maybe. Recorded a couple of demos, but same thing there. It just, it faded out into nothing. And then when I moved to Gothenburg, when I was like 24, I joined Vampire from Gothenburg, where I played guitar for 8 years, maybe.
What type of music was Vampire?
It's like a mix of death thrash and like a mix between early death metal bands like Autopsy, mixed with like dissection type melodic stuff.
Okay.
And we released 3 albums on Century Media.
It's killer, dude.
Fuck yeah.
And then the pandemic hit, of course. So that's when things just didn't happen anymore. And that's when I formed Imperishable, actually.
Oh, okay.
So with Vampire, what about the show and touring situation? Talk about like your first time on stage, because I don't think we got to that.
That was with the Shattering.
Okay. So there was some shows involved. I thought that was just like a studio project the way you
that band actually played live before the album. It was after that I think just not happened at all. But before that we recorded demos and we played live mostly in our hometown, and
nice.
So I mean, I was like 13 or 14, nervous as shit. Played every note wrong. I hated the sound on stage, like always, and nothing much to tell, but so yeah, but it's an experience I will never forget at the same time, because it's a defining moment for everyone, I think, when you play live for the first time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, mine was at my high school during lunch at the cafeteria.
Not the easiest way to begin your career.
It was some new metal shit, so I'm sure all the teachers were like, "What the fuck is this?" All right, so then
what kind of genre was that? Was it like metal?
It was new metal. It was like, we were all into Slipknot and Mudvayne and Korn, and
were you rapping too, Anthony?
I was doing some rapping, because that's kind of what I transitioned into metal from, was hip hop. Yeah. Hip hop was the first style of music that I fell in love with and wanted to be involved with, just because I like poetry, So I tried to do that shit myself, a little white boy from fucking suburb of San Francisco rapping, and then I came across the new metal thing, and well, obviously I had other metal bands from, I've told the story many times, garage box of CDs in the garage that my uncle was storing at the grandparents' house, and he'd let me go through it and found all the Panteras, found all the Metallica. So that was kind of my bridge to new metal, because I liked metal and I liked rap. It was like, then there's a combination made specifically for me at like fucking 13 years old. It's going to make me want to fucking break shit because I've got too much testosterone and I'm chasing tail the whole time. It worked perfectly. Stupid songs about being empty inside, and other songs that were written by my guitar player about the chick he just broke up with, and all this type of shit. The classic existential angst of an adolescent child, and with really nothing.
I got a question for you guys in Sweden. So, like, for us, because like all genres of music, of course, that time in the 90s or early 2000s, by then it's like the internet and everything. We're all kind of influenced by the same stuff in different ways. But like, I mean, for us, around those times that Anthony's talking about and stuff too, in like the late 90s, early 2000s, especially, like new metal was a big thing, but then also there was like the emo thing, and was that stuff big in Sweden at all, or was it just kind of, or so I was like, no, that's like other, like American or something, or was that basically those two genres, like new metal and then the whatever you call it,
we were calling it emo,
screamo,
yeah.
It's the same title over here, right, Robin? Like new metal and emo metal.
But what kind of emo bands did you have in the US at the time?
Oh man, what were the ones?
Was it like My Bloody Valentine, or that's too early?
Probably. I really wasn't a part of that. I didn't really get too deep into the emo shit, even though like I wasn't against it, but I couldn't really name bands. I remember Silverstein,
like Hawthorne Heights and stuff, and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was all on MTV at the time, I remember like teasing it because I was way too cool, you know. But like,
Yeah.
or I thought I was. But it was just like, but I had some friends that played in local bands. They played with hardcore, like they played with bands like Converge, and they did that stuff. But there was also the emo stuff that kind of mixed in. Of course, Converge is not emo, but there were emo bands playing the hardcore and mixing those genres together.
That
So
like
it was really big
metalcore.
here. Yeah,
I would call that more metalcore.
But like metalcore is metalcore. I mean, for sure. But like I'm talking like full on emo, like you know, like just like like my heart bleeds black.
I can
because of all the you just broke up with the chick you've been dating for a month and you held hands a few times and now you're just
guitars like Iron Maiden riffs and heavy, you know, it's like
my only reference, really, I'm thinking about it. I heard a band name. There was a song that was kind of a Swedish song that was floating around. Well, it's kind of hard to translate, but it's very funny, and it's kind of taking a jab at emo. There's a dude at a festival with an acoustic guitar singing a song called "Cut Cut." I feel so bad, and it's about the emo thing. It's really funny, but it's in Swedish, so and he made a band called Tokyo Hotel. That's the only band I've ever heard about. But and my only reference,
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, the only reference I have is the episode that South Park made about it, which for me that sums it up perfectly because Stan, his girlfriend breaks up with him, I think. So Stan becomes an emo, and then after and then in the end he gets all depressed and he cries, and in the end Butters comes up to him and goes and tells him basically that it's good to cry because then you need to cry and feel the sadness so you can feel happiness, and it sort of makes sense of it all. Like there's no point walking around being depressed all the time.
Yeah.
Like fuck you guys, I'm not emo anymore. Something like that. So it's such a South Park episode, really good one. But I don't know about the music. I don't even know what emo music sounds like. I think.
Yeah.
No, that's why I asked, because I cannot for one tell even one band in Sweden where it's like called emo.
That answers my question.
But
it was a good thing.
Maybe it's because I didn't care about that. I don't know. But I guess in the US it's it's different because you have MTV, or you had MTV.
Yeah.
Which was, the common denominator. But in Sweden we have, I don't know what we had. Like,
well, we had MTV, but that sort of went.
I don't know anyone who watched MTV actually. So
not even like Headbangers Ball or anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. But that was.
I don't know that. No.
That stuff was like late 80s, early 90s stuff.
Yeah, like, so it's too early for me, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's
the early Beavis and Buttheads where they'd play and all of a sudden it'd be a fucking Morbid Angel death metal.
Yeah, but that was at that time they did that, sure. And then like the British, I think there was a British Headbangers Ball and an American Headbangers Ball, if I'm not mistaken. Because the British one was a blonde woman named Vanessa Warwick. Are you familiar with that? No, but
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, but she went to like every festival. She went to like tons of shows, interviewing like King Diamond and like you name it. She went to like, I remember clearly one of the ones I remember that I had on VHS because there was like 3 hours Sunday to Monday night. It was real shitty time to have it, but it was like you gotta. So I taped a lot of those episodes. Yeah, she was hot. I agree. But,
dude, you just made me think. Sorry, this is totally. I'm going back to Beavis and Butthead for a second. I forgot that I bought a bootleg Blu-ray that I haven't watched yet. That's called the King Turd Edition. So it's all the Beavis and Buttheads, but with the original music videos and the commercials, dude. So
that's cool.
It's gonna be like a going back in time thing, where I'm watching the commercials we would be watching in between Beavis and Butthead episodes and shit. I don't know. I wonder what it's going to be like, dude. Is it going to be like there's going to be some cringe in there for sure.
Oh, of course, yeah. I was just going to say that I remember they did an episode from or coverage from New York City where they did for Morbid Angel when they were going out for Covenant. So I had that like 6 months before they came over to Sweden. So they played a bunch of stuff from Covenant, and they showed a lot of stuff, and it was an interview and all that. So once we saw them live, it was like you sort of not only listen a lot to the album, but also seen these few live clips. Just give Headbangers Ball some credit, and to see them live, like had that prepared in your mind was absolutely amazing. And the fact that he didn't sing that night, so that was kind of shit. But
it was an instrumental set.
Yeah. He busted his vocal cords or something.
Oh shit!
So it was like, and I told this before, and just quickly, that was the night that basically created what became Spawn Session. Me and Bristling was standing there, and there was this clinic of those guys, Rutan and Sandoval and everyone, and they were just shredding away, and the bass drums were flying. It was fucking rapture. Haven't seen nothing like that ever in my life. We just stood there and like, and the day afterwards, I just remember Jonas saying like, "Hey, we got to step up our game."
Yeah, dude.
That was insane. I was like I forget a little bit. Yeah, I was 15 or 16 when I saw that.
Those are pivotal moments, though, dude.
Yeah.
We all need those, and not just music, but in anything in general. Is just seeing somebody who's at a level that you're trying to achieve, but actually witnessing it happen and making you it places you currently on the list of, or at what level you want to be at and where you want to be, and then the fire under your ass to get yourself up there.
Yeah, and I also think the fact that you see someone else do it tells you that you can do it.
Yes, it's possible.
Like a lot of guitar players don't want to, they don't like to give any credit to someone like Yngwie Malmsteen because he's a loudmouth and all that, and he just shreds. But the fact is, like, every guitar player in my generation has touched on his playing. Somewhere down the road, it's inevitable. They have to try it out a little bit. You know what I mean? Because he set such a standard. Same thing for Metallica, basically. Like, I don't know any guitar player that doesn't know at least one Metallica riff.
Yeah.
It's just there. Like, if they can do it, like, I gotta learn that stuff. And I mean, that's just.
And you're listening to Pete Sandoval fucking just flooding the bass drums with his boots on and fucking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're like, I got to get back to the fucking kit right now and fucking start trying to catch up.
My God, insane.
Yeah, that reminds me of like when I first saw Hate Eternal with on the Conquering tour.
Yeah,
I was a little younger, so I didn't see Morbid till a little later when Suffocation came back. Then I saw Morbid for the first time, and Pete was killing it. It was really sick. But when I was 17, I saw Conquering the Throne, Morbid Angels, like the Bloodthirst Cannibal Corpse tour. It was the first Hate Eternal tour, and Roddy on drums, and Rutan, just his hair flying, and he's like, and I was just like, whoa, I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, you could play like that. Like, that was completely insane. So I know what you mean.
Did he have the fans blowing?
Oh yeah,
totally.
He was playing like a red Ibanez at the time too. Just the whole like ambiance. It was at the Whiskey in LA, and I was just like, whoa, dude.
What's the capacity of that room, Casey?
That's pretty small. The Whiskey, I was just there seeing Marty Friedman like a few months ago. But
Would you compare it to the Pound?
It's like smaller than the Pound.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, the floor space, I think. I mean, there's an upper part too, though. So maybe in total, it's kind of like the Pound, you know. But yeah, dude, that was just. I mean, like we've said a million times. I mean, like Eric Rutan basically is death metal. So like, if there was, in Wikipedia, they could just put his picture right there when you search death metal. It's just Eric Rutan.
I would not be opposed to that at all.
Yeah, no, he is the guy. He's the man.
He gets the trophy, dude. He's the guy. And dude, that shit. I wish I had seen that era of Morbid Angel. Like, what is it? Entangled in Chaos. That live, is that what it's called? The live record with him on it. And like, dude, that's like, his solos are so good on that. There's the way that he fits in Morbid Angel is so good.
Oh yeah. And just to mention that for Robin also, I don't know if you, I know you're a fan of Dissection, right? Or Dissection, as we say.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see him live back in the day? when they were happening?
No, not back in the day before he was in jail, because I was too small. I was like 9 when he went to jail. So,
well,
but I saw the rebirth of Dissection in 2004 in Stockholm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, I don't know about Dissection in America, but over here, like for people like everyone in Spawn Obsession, for sure, everyone like Robin and his dudes, and like people here in bands, like Dissection is like a pivotal band. It's they have their own history, their own style, their own sort of thing going. And I was just gonna say that when I saw Morbid Angel for the Domination tour, when they recorded Entangling Chaos, they played in Gothenburg, and Dissection was opening for them that night.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, it was one of the best shows I've ever been to in my life. It was Moonspell in the middle, and I'm not like a big Moonspell kind of guy. But
beer break.
Yeah, exactly. But Dissection was insane, and Morbid Angel. Oh my God, Rutan and Trey, like fucking Pete. They played at Dawn of the Angry and all those tracks, like Dominate and Where Slime Lives, and it was so perfect. And just a side note, when I toured with Eric, we talked a lot about that stuff, and he said that I said you guys were so tight, it was ridiculous. Like they were so good, like on stage. And he said, yeah, but that's not a coincidence because they rehearsed for like 8 hours a day.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. He said like Dave and Trey was super like rigorous like that. Like we got to be the best band ever on stage. And they were like, they totally dominated.
Yeah. We need to dominate, like literally.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, so basically, Dennis, when I joined Decrepit 2004, and I remember like Matt talking, of course we were into all the death metal stuff, but it's like when it came to anything else outside of that black metal or like melodics, of course we always loved At the Gates. And that was like a band that was like legendary for us. And of course, you know, we knew Black Dahlia Murder and bands that totally like that's where they got their style from. And it's no secret. They were totally, you know, I mean, it's just, we've always really loved that. I mean, obviously we were into Spawn also at the time and that kind of shit, but like from Swedish metal and Entombed and shit, like it was like, okay, but like At the Gates, that style was just a very big deal for us over here in America too. And a lot of bands played that style. But I remember Matt always just being like, dude, he would always talk about Dissection, and I didn't like remember what they were called. I kept being like, what was that band called again? I couldn't remember the name. And he was like, Dissection, dude. Like, and then like finally I checked it out and I was like, oh, okay, I see what he's talking about. Like, and so like he was like, that was like his favorite shit, you know, like Swedish kind of shit.
Really cool.
What
is it about the melody in the Swedish metal? You know, like that's
where I wanted to lead this conversation into.
Dude.
Imperishable is that style. Like, what do you guys call that style? Like from your end, because we just call it Swedish metal, or we don't know what to call. I don't know. I mean, I mean,
we call it melodic death metal, but
melodic death metal. Okay, that makes sense.
But the negative of that is that we tend to lump everything together by that, and I hate categorizing stuff
right
to begin with. But in some ways it's helpful if you love Gorguts and you want to check out bands similar to Gorguts, and you can go into Metal Archives and check similar bands. In that case it's helpful, but in other ways I think it's the
question is a little bit deeper though, because we're talking about these pivotal bands that all came from that area, and I really believe that like your environment over long periods of time influences your art and it influences music. So all these different areas of the world, they have their own unique contributions to the giant soup that we're making of music, but you have your own flavors, and there's always been this specific Swedish flavor that I would want to go deep into it and try and figure out why all the sick melodic fucking metal riffs came out of Sweden.
I don't know. I have one theory that we I mean, like in the US, you have MTV, you have, in my view, not so many channels to make an opinion. But in Sweden, we have, it's like everything, whole range of stuff, to go through. And I guess our folk music is very melodic. It's very, different than, I guess, other types of folk music. And not that I have, sat down and, thought this through, but the thing with, the Swedish melodic stuff is everyone I talk to about this, we all share the same story, that our musical upbringing was not just listening to mainstream music. We listen to everything. So I guess maybe that's why. I don't know.
I have. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Robin.
No, sure.
But from what I heard a Swedish folk singer. He talked about he explained his melodies and all that stuff. He was just like, well, it's in my DNA. I can't explain it. But I also think that growing up for myself, my mom would play the radio from morning to night. And obviously there was English artists and American artists on there. But I mean, a lot of it was Swedish artists. And sort of popular music, whether it was, ABBA or something like that, or more, folk music oriented, troubadouric or whatever, was very melodic, very distinct Swedish melodies, because Swedish melody sounds nothing like, Spanish flamenco or Greek bouzouki, or, countries have their own kind of style. Some countries really don't have a style, in my opinion. It's like, but also I think for my own generation going into death metal, and probably people older than myself who started earlier, like growing up specifically with British, new wave of British heavy metal, like Iron Maiden, I would say their chord progressions over their melodies has really, like, so many Swedish bands use that. The trick is that they sort of in some bands it's so obvious, it's too obvious. It's like, come on, dude, you can do something different here. And the point about dissection, in my opinion, and I don't know if you agree with me on that, Robin, but I think that they take all that, but they do something I should say, they don't exist anymore, but they did something, they tweaked it into their own thing, and it was only their thing, and it was definitely no other band sounded like them, and tons of bands have tried, but no one can do it after they did their thing. Does that make any sense to you, Robin?
Yeah, sure. And it's a difficult question, but I guess I mean, the bands that from Sweden, at least in the early 90s, I guess they did their stuff in kind of a vacuum.
Yeah.
I mean, if you compare it to nowadays, because nowadays you have everything in your phone,
right?
Which kills individuality and original expression. So, but I mean, the Swedish sound, I have no answer. I don't know. We have had a very good system here in Sweden where, getting a rehearsal space or, instruments and band members, it's never been hard to find people to play with.
No.
I mean, start bands or playing shows, it's always been, handed to us pretty much. But then again, that has nothing to do with the question, I think. But yeah, it's very hard to answer.
I think what you're saying makes kind of sense, though. It was kind of in a vacuum a little bit, like geographically or technologically, because back then it was like CDs were coming out and tape trading and all that stuff before the internet was like really a thing. That it was kind of, it makes sense that it was like a regional sound, and bands were kind of like what bands were like, I mean, there's some obvious answers here, but from your perspectives, like who started it? Like who were some of the original Swedish metal that sound that we're kind of getting at? Like, I mean, obviously At the Gates is one that we go back to a lot, but what do you guys think about like who are like the originals, like the OGs of
Europe? No, not death metal, of course, but I think they had an influence on death metal bands as well, because I think a lot of death metal instrumentalists in the late 80s listened to the first two Europe records. I mean, they're great heavy metals.
Okay,
on there. So
Europe, dude.
And I mean that it's like those records have the same kind of stuff, melodic stuff, like Swedish music had in the 70s and 60s even, but in mixed with, you know, Saxon and Def Leppard and Maiden, and
yeah,
that's, I think that's where it all started. And then you got Yngwie Malmsteen, and then you got, you know,
yeah, you can definitely hear the Maiden in there, you know, for sure.
Yeah,
that's obvious. I mean, Maiden influenced like everybody in metal that in a certain way, like with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of cut you off. You were saying,
no.
Yngwie Malmsteen
and from there on, it's like, you know, I don't know where, you know, that's where it all, you know, branches out, and it becomes like a impossible game to decide whether or not someone had any say in anything, because it's a lot of bands at that time. But if you comprise it to death metal, of course, Entombed and Dismember, early on, or like Nihilist and Carnage, I should say.
Okay, yeah.
Of course, they brought this melody as well to death metal. I mean, they listened a lot to Autopsy, but from my view, they incorporated that type of Swedish melody into even the first demos they made in like 88 or 89. I'm not a big fan of demos, so I'm not sure, but yeah, so I don't know. It's like I said, it's a broad question, and I don't have any specific answer really. But
I think it's interesting going back to like Yngwie Malmsteen too a little bit, because that is an important, you know, like what is it, Dragon's Kiss, or what that was, that the one where he's like fine. Or no, that's Marty Friedman. What's the one not Dragon's Kiss,
Watching Out,
when he's like playing the guitar and it's like there's a dragon up in the corner and he's like
about
what's that one called? Help us out, anyone who's watching. It's
not
the
Odyssey, right? Is it Odyssey? I forget.
I don't know.
It might be
a different name, but you might be totally right.
Yeah, but I know.
Yeah, but I mean, like that 80s metal stuff too was important, like in the sound that led to other styles of metal, death metal and whatever after, you know, of course talking about Maiden and stuff as well. But there was you know, with all like the shredder guitarists and, you know, English and British, you know, and like all this, and then but Yngwie was like the Jimi Hendrix of Sweden or something or whatever, you know, but like in a metal standpoint, he was like the Jason Becker of, but he was even older, right? He was like even more like he was like older than those guys, I think, and stuff. Of course, Marty Friedman and stuff too out here, but like, or Van Halen, he's like the Van Halen of Sweden or something to us, you know, from our end. Yeah. But it was like another example of like, we're, you know, because it was always, we've talked about this before, but like, and we had to talk about this on the last podcast we did, Dennis, about kind of the back and forth, like ping pong of like musical influence across the pond and stuff, you know. With, like, and so it's like, okay, we're talking about American and British stuff, and, you know, rock and roll and the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, and then they come back with all this shit and the British rock, and then back to this and that, and then, you know, American, and but then it's like that all is going across in different places up into Sweden and different. It's all mixed together, and like it's like we influence each other, you know, and it makes it really cool that way, I think. But I think that in terms of Swedish guitar and that kind of stuff, like we were all just like, okay, yeah, it's like, you know, oh, this guy shreds, or, you know, oh, whatever dude from this band or Van Halen and all this. But it's like, but have you heard Yngwie Malmsteen, dude? Like, it was just kind of like, this guy just kills us all. Like, it's like ridiculous. And say what you want about the guy or his attitude and, you know, all that stuff, or how many gold chains you have and all that. But like, that guy can out shred. I mean, that guy's insane. I remember Matt saying, like, because we used to kind of tease him a little bit when we were younger. We were starting to, of course, we were totally respected the shit out of him, but we were like, oh, Yngwie, yeah, you know, listen. Matt was like, dude, seriously though, I saw him in concert, like, and it's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, it like melted my face. You know, Matt was just like, dude, you don't understand how insane Yngwie is live. You know, so anyways,
but it's funny. Yngwie is funny to Swedes, and
oh, yeah.
Correct me if you. I mean, even metal guys are like, first of all, like a lot of Swedes, like who's not into metal, who's not into guitar playing stuff, they hate Yngwie because he goes against everything that's Swedish. In Sweden, we're like humble. We don't stick out. We don't get uncomfortable. We don't say really what we think. Like, you know, it's all these things. If you're in a line at the supermarket, you just stand and stare down the floor, and that's not Yngwie. I mean, he just fucking like he's like, I'm the best guitar player in the world. Fuck you.
Yeah.
That's Yngwie. And that's
he's like the only American from Sweden. You could say.
yeah, dude, totally. I think sports like Ferraris and shit, like gold chains.
Yeah, and I think he adopted that thinking that that's the American way. Now, interestingly, I mean, I've been to America and I've toured with many American bands, and most Americans that I've met are super cool and low key and very nice. There are a couple of loudmouths, sure, but there's also Swedish loudmouths.
Right.
So I think he just took that on steroids, and that's what's funny. And they made like TV shows about him here in Sweden, and they just goof on it. Like, let's talk about the Rolex. Well, this watch, it kind of $5,000 and blah blah blah. And they just rip on him, you know. And people don't realize that. Okay, but underneath all that bullshit, he can actually play. He can fucking perform. He can write a song. He's pretty sick, you know.
Totally, dude. I know, it's hilarious. I mean, we have goofballs out here too, but it's kind of like there's like extremes of whatever, you know. It's like, what I mean, I'm trying to think of like the most goofball gets. I mean, it's like you look at like, say, like Slash or Van Halen or like just really famous, but they're not really that. I mean, I guess our singers are more like Axl Rose or something. Those are more our goofballs, you know.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
I think that was Joe Satriani.
Yeah, but he's not
flashy
like
dude.
that.
He's not really a flashy dude.
No, he's actually, that's weird. That's just interesting. I mean, I think Yngwie is one of a kind. I mean, dude, like no matter what country you're talking, I mean, he's like a one of a kind. Just that's like ego. Like there's nothing more. Kind of
maybe he's your next president if you were lucky.
Too soon, dude. Too soon.
Yeah.
But
you never know. I mean, Ronald Reagan.
Well, he was born in Sweden, so you know it won't work.
Yeah.
If not, if Arnold Schwarzenegger would have already been president years ago if that were a thing. But
Did you see the Spinal Tap thing on Yngwie Malmsteen? Did you see that? No, real quick. It's like it's an old clip. They're doing something and they're interviewing one of the dudes from Spinal Tap, and he goes, Yngwie, he's such an incredible player. Blah 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 blah. And I love the fact that he calls himself Yngwie J. Malmsteen. So he has the J, so we don't confuse him with all the other Yngwie Malmsteen who plays guitar. He really calls himself J for Johann Bach or something.
Yeah. Oh, like JS. Yeah.
That is funny.
I mean, hey, he can play Bach, so whatever, you know.
I heard a theory about that the J in the middle of Yngwie J. Malmsteen is because he wanted to be big in Japan. So J is for Japan.
Oh,
I don't know.
He is big in Japan, as far as I know.
Yeah. So he made it.
Interesting.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
Well,
so
dudes.
let's look. Yeah. So let's like I think we still got like, maybe about 30-ish minutes, right, Dennis? And with you
No,
guys,
it's cool. I got a text here. It's we can go
a little
on.
later. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
I could go probably for like another 45 minutes. I'm gonna have to cut out after that though.
yeah.
Big day, big weekend.
Sure. So we want to talk about this sound. So the sound that we've gotten to, and like, it's really cool to me how you guys have been friends for like a long time. And Dennis, when you told me about this record and when you guys posted it, and then you becoming a part of it on those few tracks, I think it's really cool that, like, Spawn did their thing, and you've played in other bands, Robin, and did your thing, but you ended up doing this project, Imperishable, after the pandemic and all that you said.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool how you both respect each other's style a lot. Like, and I've heard that from both ends. And it's like Spawn is Spawn or whatever, Retromorphous, all the stuff we've done. And then, the Imperishable new record and everything. And you guys have 2 records, right?
Yeah.
When did the first one come out? It was
June 9, 2023. So it's 2
Cool.
years ago this Monday, actually.
nice.
This past Monday.
Okay. And then the new one came out like in April, I think you said.
Yeah.
And Anthony, did you know that they recorded with Andy LaRocque?
Oh shit.
Yeah. So we were talking about that earlier before you popped on. So he has a studio in Sweden, and he did the engineering and mixing and stuff for the record, and it was, they did some tracks at home and kind of just how everyone records these days, but he he produced the project in that sense.
That's rad, dude.
And we were talking about the sound of it and how really great it sounds. So, and I'd really like to hear, like, I just am interested to talk about that. The guitar tone and of course the writing. Like, I know you said.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna wait for you. I was just gonna add on to that, like, talk about your writing style, and because coming from a guy who learned by ear and playing what you're playing now, it's just like wild to me. And yeah, it the tone, how you approach all that stuff, and then yes, get into the recording. That's rad as shit that you worked with him.
I mean, I guess my tone is where from the very beginning is all credit goes to James Hetfield of Metallica, obviously. The greatest rhythm guitarist of all time. And I owe everything of my playing style to him, actually, because he was pretty much the guy I knew of at the time I began to play. So very crucial for my playing. And then, of course, when I was like 14, I discovered Death and Chuck Schuldiner. Yeah. Has that guy ever wrote a single bad riff? I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I mean, they might sound the same to some ears, but I mean, then again, Iron Maiden is the same chord progression in every song, so who cares?
Yeah, going back to Scream Bloody Gore, what was
like you said, the most important thing to the ears? It's if you like what you hear, why should anything else matter?
Going back to Scream Bloody Gore
nothing else
recently.
No.
I was just gonna say that I have like a double appreciation for like Scream Bloody Gore now. When I go back to it, I find it's a lot more rich than, because my first introduction to Death was the Symbolic era.
Yeah, same here.
And so then going back to those older records, I kind of already was more into the progressive, technical sounding Death first. So the early death metal records I did appreciate, but I didn't really fully. I would have more likely have gone for anything on their second half of their catalog, And but going back to it now, it's great, dude. And knowing like that was the first death metal record store that went into record stores, on a commercial level. you know, there might have been, you know, local bands selling their records to local record shops, but to have it's actually the first like really worldwide distributed death metal record, dude. And then so just that history built into it and all that. But here I am just rambling on about death. So it was basically and it totally makes sense when you say you want to take two styles and meld them together. I could totally see both of them as influences in Imperishable.
And I mean, it's not a conscious choice. It's just the way it is.
Built into the DNA, yeah.
Yeah, because all the way back to The Shattering, I mean, the album we recorded in like 2004, which came out in 2005. Already by then, I had this style.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it took like 20 years to actually write an album like Swallowing the World, which emulates, or I mean, blends the sound of James and Chuck. And like I said, not a conscious choice, but when I myself listen to the end result, that's what I hear. So,
but it still has it's like played through like a Swedish lens. Like it still has the Swedish flavor in there too, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Are you referring to the last track?
Well, we're just talking about the sound of the album in general, which
Weird.
I love that name, dude. Just simple and straight to the point, just swallowing the world, dude.
I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that title this week made me, while I was, because I take long drives each week, and I'll just stare at the sky and just like imagine like a giant,
it's
fucking floating like space creature just coming off up over the horizon and just seeing the world being engulfed by it, dude. It keeps me entertained.
That's in Curso.
Huh?
That's in Curso.
Oh, right. Artwork. Yeah, totally. So you were talking about the last track on the album, because that's what I remembered. It was the last. And Dennis, you did vocals on this one too, right?
Oh yeah. I think I was just going to do it on one track, and then while I was doing it, it was like, hey, I mean, I was there in the studio already, so it's like, you want to do another one? It's like, yeah. I think I did 3 songs. Right?
Yeah, right. I mean, he came into the studio with Niklas Deverud, who plays bass on the first two Spawn records, and my idea was that he should, do some guest screaming in the title track, and then that's it. But I mean, he nailed it on the first take, so it's like, oh, we have 1 more hour here, so let's do another one, and then another one.
Rad.
And
that's sick.
After like 3 tracks, we were satisfied, and yeah.
Like I said,
very happy with that. So
yeah, like I said, Cenotaph is my favorite song, and they're all great. But that one, every time it comes on, I'm just like, yes, dude. Like, it's so sick. And then, but yeah, Swallowing the World is really cool. That's obviously the album and the final track. But it's really cool, like hearing Dennis's look, because you're doing like low vocals on it, right, Dennis? Over the
yeah, I did a couple actually. We did some dubbing, I think, because I tend to. This is something I changed. If you listen to on my own, the stuff that I've done, what I did on Octambulant is a bit lower than what it is on Retro.
Okay.
Because I wanted to steer in that direction a little bit. So when I came up and worked with Robin, it was I did one of the lower one and one of the little higher, and it's a little more raspy. But it's also interesting, like I don't know if I've said this before, but the producer in Palma who I recorded everything with Spawn, and now did Retro with, he said that my voice had changed a great deal. He could hear it when I recorded, and I mean, obviously I haven't recorded since we did Incurso, which was in 2012 or something, 2013, I forget. and what happens is that it sounds like two voices, like just two dudes singing when he listens in the headphones. It's really, and I couldn't hear that, but he was like, no, trust me, it's an effect that happens with age. And he's heard it with a lot of vocalists, like not only in growling, but just in singing in general. I didn't know this. So,
Wow.
so I tried to go a bit higher to not get too dark. And I think we mixed it. And your vocalist, he has a higher voice, more screamish, more Swedish style. So I think they blended perfectly. I think it was a great mix.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was funny because you were like, oh, I'm on these tracks. Then I was like, okay, I'm listening to it all, but I was like, I'm going to hear Dennis. And I'm just kind of like listening. And I'm like, oh, there we go. There's Dennis. I could tell, it was sick. But it fits in so cool. It's such a cool sound.
And I want to reconnect on the thing you guys talked about to say to Rob, and I haven't said this because obviously I listen to the record a bunch of times. And what I realized is also like with Spawn, with any like band that I listen to, I can sense, I'm not saying I'm hearing it, but I can sense sort of where a band is coming from in terms of influences and stuff. Even the section that we mentioned before, even though they have such an original thing going, and a lot of bands, you have a sense of it. Metallica having, like Hetfield having this country background and stuff. You can totally sense that in, some of the Metallica songs. And I sense it with Imperishable, but what I think my favorite thing about the melodies that you write, Robin, is that you don't fall into what I call like basically the Iron Maiden trap. And I'm not slamming Iron Maiden because they're the gods of good melodies. What I'm saying is that and I talked to Jonas about this in great length actually, and we totally agree on this, that the melodies are a little dirty. You know what I mean? They're not like sugary. They're not like sweet. Does that make sense to you, Robin? They're a little evil.
It's like the Walmart version of Yngwie Malmsteen, maybe.
That's a stretch, I think.
Yeah, but thanks.
I know what he's
saying.
It's
totally a compliment because most bands fall into that trap.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And it becomes it becomes, especially like if we're talking about the Gothenburg sound, like we don't like to put labels on the melodies, but there's a very strong distinction between an entombed melody, like an old entombed melody, and a Gothenburg melody. To my ears, they're very different.
I was trying to find the words for that too, but yeah, it's like the melodies that we're talking about when we were talking about Swedish riffs in general. They're not an uplifting situation, but they are a see, that's where I was losing my words. I'm like, what kind of what emotion is it? Is somewhat melancholy, but it's not like depressive or
not emo, not I'm gonna cut my wrist. It's just like oh fuck, I'm gonna work for another week.
Yeah,
like that,
totally, dude.
I like that. They're kind of dirty. I like what Dennis kind of said. Or it's like, to me, it's like they're kind of dark or whatever. But it's like it has its own thing. Like my perception was like, oh, this is like the real shit. Because it's like I've heard a million bands that have done that Swedish sound, and of course we talked about Black Dahlia Murder and all that kind of stuff, and they're like good friends of ours, and I love especially like Nocturnal and stuff, and some of their records I think are brilliant, and most of their music is really rad. But like when I hear like, okay, this band is from Sweden and Dennis recorded with them and they did it all out there, and these dudes are like, it's like, to me it's just it's like the true, this is like the real shit, and it's like really just done in a way like the melodies are really, they're interesting. I want to listen to it again. It's like, but it's not over polished and it's like it's still gritty and dirty and dark. So yeah,
you mentioned the production too, and I couldn't agree more, because another thing is like, because obviously the bands like the early band too, Dismember, Hypocrisy, The Section, all those bands like from late 80s, early 90s. Like that was the totally the first sort of seed to what would become when I started playing and everything.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, what the fuck was I gonna say? I forgot totally what I was going to say.
Nice, happened to me so many times.
Are you
on
talking
the
about
show,
the recording quality or the sound or something?
Yeah, you did start with the recording as a.
Oh yeah, there we go. So now there's bands doing. I think what Robin and Imperishable is doing is like a stream of consciousness. This is our music. This is our stuff. This is how we sound. It's just like that.
Okay.
No, seriously, that's when I listen to it, it's very honest. It's very real. And then there's bands. They sound more like tribute bands to what I got into when I was 13. And I don't want to damn them with faint praise. That's not what I mean. I
get it, dude.
It's great. Do it, fucking. But they search for that old guitar tone. They search for the drums. They look up the studios, the old school producers and everything, and it's super cool. But
it's gotten big enough to be a subgenre of music now. OSDM.
Exactly. And God knows how many bands have tried to follow on Star of Soul and At the Gates. I mean, it's the same situation. But my point is that when Imperishable, they really took influences from that stuff, like the same way Jonas did. Like, he did. I don't know, but I don't think he listens to that kind of stuff. Like old school Swedish stuff and new stuff as well, especially like old stuff. And that sort of and his take on it, that became retro. And I think and please correct me if I'm wrong, Robin, but I think you and I pretty much listen to the same kind of stuff, and this is what came out of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the most important thing, and thank you again, Dennis, for I'm so I'm shaking right now. Maybe
don't do that. Have a drink.
No, okay, yeah, okay.
Cheers. What is that, by the way? What are you sipping on? Highland Park. Some single malt, 12-year. What's the proof on that?
I don't know. It's foolproof.
Nice.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm no expert.
Nice, bro.
I only like the good stuff. No, what I was gonna say was that as long as you have the honest expression, no matter what, I think the result is gonna be good in some way. Not all the years, of course, but and I think this is the first band that I ever had where I write the music and I don't have a, I don't have an idea to begin with where this should sound this way. And because of this band or whatever. I mean, of course, when we started the band, my idea was I want to write like Dismember and Entombed did in 91, maybe. But it quickly evolved from that. And now it's more of very quickly. And that's why the first album is a lot different from the second one. The first one is maybe more of a, it should sound this way. And on this album, we have a more honest expression. It's from, within.
Yeah, it's like it just to sum that all up. It's you're not playing something because that's what they would do. You're playing something because that's what I would do.
Yeah.
It comes actually from you, and that's where you can see the honesty that Dennis is talking about.
Yeah, and it all came naturally. I mean, in past bands, we wrote the riffs when we were like hammered in our rehearsal space. But on this album, I wrote riffs before work. I mean, okay, I have 10 minutes. So I wrote Riding Demons in like 10 minutes. It's
do you actually have like did you have something to record it, a tape player that you would just record on cassette? What was it? On the phone, dude. Yep. I'm talking about this. Like, he's writing riffs. The album came out in 2023, and I'm like, did you use a cassette recorder?
Yeah, did you use a tape machine? Yeah, it's like yeah.
No, it's nothing fancy. I mean, when I get an idea, I record it on voice memo on my iPhone, and then the next time I have some free time, I record in Logic, and then send it to Niklas. He put some drums on it, and then it's a song.
How did you guys get the guitar tone for this new album? Did you? I assume there was some reamping, or I have no idea.
Yeah.
How did you guys?
I recorded the tracks at my place, and for the first time, because of Black Album, actually, this is the last time I mentioned that album.
It's all good, dude.
But I like Master of Puppets too. We used quad tracking, which means there's 4 rhythm guitars at all time. So which means you have to be super tight.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear, for instance, the break in the second riff in Out of the Night, this is a
yeah, heavy.
There's, I think it's 8 guitars at that place, actually.
Damn.
And the thing is to sound like one guitar.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one of the things that makes it stand out, maybe. And then, of course, for listeners who doesn't know, most bands utilize, one of the guitarists play all the guitars for the rhythm parts, for it to, for it to be tight. Because if you have 2 guitars, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
So, and I mean, the chorus in Bells, the first track, I think it's like, at the same time, it's like, it doesn't sound like it, but it has like 6 rhythm guitars, 4 clean tracks, and 4 melody tracks. So it was a puzzle to track all these things, all the while you have a full-time job and kids, and yeah.
But when you record like that intensive, like if you're gonna track, like say 3 for each side, but you do that in one swoop, right? You just record one, listen to it, okay, it's cool. Next one, you just have to do while you're in the moment, and the guitar is aligned, like because that stuff is really hard to do.
Some people call that cheating, but I do one riff at a time. Perfect.
It's like every band does that, as far as
yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think
so that's when I move on. So
that's definitely a common thing. I think if you're trying to, obviously we've had our editing conversations and stuff about recording, but catching it in the moment and doing your best possible take is if it needs to be done riff by riff, then it's going to be frozen in time on this album. Live, you obviously show that you can play the song all the way through, but if you have time to sit and really sculpt the record with, people have their opinions on this too, but I believe that if you're, like I said, freezing something in time, then why not?
Yeah, and usually it's not, and people, I rarely hear people talking about guitar players in that regard. It's usually drummers. Like if you're a one-take drummer, what are you doing? Like you use triggers, you use punch-ins. I mean, all these things, and quite honestly, like I'm not personally competitive like that. When I listen to a record, I listen if the drums are good, the production is good, and if it has a good drive, it's like, yeah, that's cool. Then maybe I'll think about how this was recorded, but pretty much never. I don't care about that shit. And besides, like, Anthony, have you ever done a whole song in the studio with the vocals? Like, I never even heard about a vocalist doing the whole song. But for some reason, like drums are super competitive. Like, no, it's got to be one take. Like,
I know, right?
I couldn't care less. Like, if you do it,
yeah.
Fucking poser.
Yeah, exactly,
well, I mean, it's really. I think it comes down to the most inhuman sounding parts of a death metal band are the drummers, so the ones who can claim they did their one takes. They are the king of the inhuman shit. You know.
That two things on that. One is back before people were doing doubles on their feet. That was a big thing because it's just like, okay, this thing came out and no one can play that, you know, and it's like they're trying to, you know, it's like it's just competing with some of the best drummers at the time, and then it's like, oh well, that's just what's that, you know, it's all quantized and everything. So like I get it, like, but that's like kind of gone away now because everyone's just like, well, there's dudes out there that can just fly on their feet at 300 beats a minute doing double strokes, and it's just not even a thing anymore. So it's like, and everyone's like, the gravity blast is not a secret anymore and all that. It's kind of just like, yeah. But another point about that's funny is that, you know, there is, sorry if there's music going, but oh well, if my mic's getting bleed going here, but anyways, like,
not really.
Okay, cool. Basically, like in the recording industry and other styles of music, not even fast styles of music, they punch in parts all the time. I mean, it's a classic, you know, I mean, dude, you're gonna get the best parts and takes of what you're doing, and you know, if you can record a song all the way through, then good for you, but no one really gets a trophy for doing that. It doesn't really, you know, it's just at the end of the day, you know, like it's can the band play it live? And if the, you know, but a lot of times bands, they work super hard to, you know, it's like a lot of music is fully written in the recording studio, even big bands, right? And so then you make the record and then it comes out and you're like, awesome, yeah, now I got to really learn how to actually play this like I recorded it and all that stuff. And that's just how it goes sometimes. And even if you're in the studio writing, I mean, you might write before, but I don't know, like there's creation and stuff that happens in the studio, and part of that is the production process, which is the recording process. It's all the same, it's all creative, you know. So you know, if you can play it live, it's whatever. If in the studio, it's kind of the thing. But yeah, it's funny because it's like that was totally done for years and years before. There was like people playing blast beats at, or you know, double kicks at 250 or whatever. It's like that's been going on in slow styles of music and stuff. So you know, it's just. So it's
the human aspects of the album that if that's lost within that, then the album loses power to me. It has to still have that energy, or that, again, back to the honesty that adds to the energy too. It's got to still have that alive feeling, because you can get to a point where it's more generic and robotic sounding because they replaced everything, you know. And quantized it perfectly.
And it doesn't diminish, like in, I don't know if you can make a parallel like that, but I kind of think about it like if you watch a movie, if you know anything about movie making, it's like 100 takes and 1 billion cuts and blah, blah, blah. But you can still get really, really grabbed by a performance, and it's like amazing with everything on. And it doesn't, I mean, if this was the 50th take, so what? If the performance in that take is amazing and great and it works for the whole thing, you know, I'm not going to judge it. It's like perfect. It's not.
But there's still like imperfections to movies, you know, and
exactly,
and those are fun little Easter eggs to find too. Just like maybe finding a stick click or something in a recording where you're like, or a rim shot, or you know.
I love that.
This is like when you're like, oh, you hear that, and you're like, I hear that. It's like, let's leave it in, you know, screw it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I have something to add about this actually, because one of my first memories, you know, going through booklets of CDs back in the day was reading on King of All Kings by Hate Eternal. Fantastic record. Derek, one take, Roddy.
Yeah.
And you can hear that it's one take because it's flawless, and you know it's flawless because not because they have edited everything, because he's an honest player, and everyone who has seen videos from this time, I mean, he's flawless. He's one take. So and I love that. He's better than any drum machine today. So.
Yeah, when we talked to him a while back, he was talking about was it the Malevolent album that he did? I think think that was the one that he kind of got that nickname from or something. But they were like warming up in the studio, and I think it was with Scott Burns, right? And he was like, keep. They're just like we're warming up and we're running through the tracks, right? And so they just were warming up and they play the tracks all the way through, and then he's just like, all right, I just recorded you. That's it. That's going to be on the album. And he's like, oh, what? I thought we were just warming up. And he's like, it's perfect. Like, we don't need to record it again. Like, he's like,
That's
okay,
so,
like,
and
maybe a couple. He did
something
again.
about that, dude. But you
Yeah,
can definitely find how human that. Well, especially that era, like with the Scott Burns stuff. There's nothing but humanity in those recordings.
Yeah,
fully 100% human.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is that Derek Roddy deserves all the credit and more. That he is such a ridiculous musician and drummer and just a cool dude. And like, it's like he's got some strong opinions about some of that stuff, and it's like that's dude, he deserves to more power to him. It's like, hey man, like, and he was doing all that, the King of All Kings, or all those albums, like right in an era where everyone was starting to just put out everything super edited and crazy, and it was just like, and it wasn't just about like can you play that fast? It was just about the sound of it in a way that was just, there was just a million bands doing that. So like I totally understand why he was just like, and he had,
for sure, dude.
He had the forum. Everyone was coming to him for like he was like the original drum video lessons and the original, like he was kind of the modern age Pete, like kind of thing, because Pete was kind of not really wanting to do that kind of stuff. So Derek was like, oh, I got the forum. I'm making videos. I'm going to be kind of the every person's drummer kind of dude for death metal. And like, so it's like you have to respect Derek and his opinion and the 1 foot blast and everything. It's just like he's the real deal, dude. He can do that, and it doesn't mean that everyone has to be him or everyone has to do that. And he's not even saying that either. He's just saying, this is what I think, and that's, stand by your opinion.
Well,
dude.
Think of being a dude who's put in your 10,000 plus hours into anything, right? And then then this thing comes along the way when all the hard work you've done to get to being an actual human machine, and then machines come, and then and most people listen to those robotic sounding records that. And then comparing it to Roddy, and Roddy's like, "Yo, I'm the like, I built myself up to this. My takes are my takes. That's unedited shit, and you guys are comparing me to like highly edited shit."
Yeah.
So of course that would go in your head, but really, in reality, the reason why people want the records to sound so like perfect is because of listening to Derek Roddy's fucking human takes.
And he's living on the legacy of Pete, is the way I look at it. Like, and then Coleus kind of took it's like a torch past from the 1 foot blast and that style, and the Florida, like kind of just going like just the fastest, most gnarly dude at the time. And then, I mean, Tim was in that kind of scene too, but I think that like Roddy has just always been kind of the champion of that thing. And then like Coleus is the same way, dude. Like, these guys are just no one's going to deny the just pure freaking skill and intensity of George's drumming. It's just like, how on earth can anyone, you can't just be like, when we talked to him a while back too, he was like, that's the thing, is that people want shortcuts and they just want to, it's like, dude, you can't just be that one of a kind. I don't know. Those guys deserve that respect, man. I think, and that's.
I think what Anthony, what you touched on is like the 10,000 hours thing. See, that's the point. I remember some drum forum, and this is way back, and when it was forums, and everybody was writing, and at one point, like people were always looking for shortcuts and what you secret, what kind of sneakers you use, what kind of wristband, all that shit, what kind of sticks. And at some point somewhere, I think it was Derek Roddy who just wrote like, the secret, practice. It was basically that. Like, you gotta do it every day, hours every day, basically that. But what I was gonna say was like I said, I don't pay much attention to that stuff when I listen to music. I just listen to it for what it is, and I don't care too much how they recorded it. But we went to the Key Club in LA when we were over there, and see Deicide. and there was there was this was in 04. It was Cal Decapitation and another band, Hate Eternal and Deicide. And when the another band played, I was like super like, whoa, that drummer was insane. Because he would just go fast double bass and fast blast beats like nonstop. And I was standing there with Rob, the drummer at Disavow at the time, and I said, dude, this is probably the fastest shit I've ever seen. This beating everyone. This is crazy. And I just remember he said, he was smiling, he said, oh, well, wait, Roddy's coming on. Just hang on to that thought. Like, really? Because he knew Derek, you know. And then Hate Eternal came on, and I was just like floored. That was the first time I saw them. God damn. That was not only, but it was about I think the first drummer was between triplets and 16th notes. He was somewhere in that twilight zone that a lot of drummers are live. They corrected it in the studio.
Yeah.
But Roddy played the real notes, like the way it should, the way it's on the record. And I just, with the beer, and of course they play faster than the records. Of course.
Yeah.
And Rutan with the hair and the fans and the fucking, you know, the whole thing. It was amazing. Dude. And Glenn Benton had the mask on with the nails in it. It was super fun. It was a great show.
Was that like the Scars of the Crucifix era or something? Oh,
I don't know, man.
I was trying to think of what record would have been out around 04.
Like Incinerate Him, maybe?
Maybe. I kind of stopped buying these records after they went out and said, oh, we're just making shitty records to fuck with the label. So I was like, well, I'm not going to pay for that. I don't know if that was true, but they had this beat with Roadrunner.
I remember that, dude.
Yeah, we could get Monty Connor, who was the boss of they had this thing, Glenn and him, whatever. And so they were like, they had like 9 record contract or something like that. So they had to get out of that. So they were making shitty albums. I don't know if that was true. I don't know.
Dude, I nailed it. Scars of the Crucifix came out that year. Hell yeah,
nice.
Dude. I was just guessing too. But before that was In Torment and Hell, which Incinerate Him. But the 4 before that, dude. Come on, dude. And obviously we always say it, dude, but fucking Legion, dude.
Yeah,
you know?
I was just gonna say I was standing there waiting for Legion. I saw a show, like it came up on YouTube just a week ago, and it was like a bunch of Legion songs they played, and they played really good. It was tight. It was like in the pocket, really nice to hear. And fucking Deicide, man.
That tour you're talking about in 04, right? Anthony, I think Dan and I went to that it was at Santa Ana. We didn't go to the Hollywood show, but I remember that, and Cattle played and everything, and it was when like Cattle was like kind of newish to the scene of bigger bands, and like these dudes were talking shit to him, calling them like vegans or something, and Travis was like, fuck you, and all. It was funny, dude. It was all like, just people were dicks back then. It was funny. but yeah, dude, we saw Hate Eternal there a couple times, and I was just always, dude, just insane to see those guys. And Roddy and then he starts doing all the he's like, okay, cool, so now I'm gonna do what was it, I Monarch, you know, and then like doing that insane drum beat on that title track, and like all that, like he's just at class A type drummer. It's just ridiculous. It's like, how, and we're like still trying to learn that, where like the right foot's doing a 2 pattern and the left foot's doing a 3 pattern, like and they're doing a polyrhythm between the 2 feet, and then he's like playing on the toms, and it's just like, dude, come on. And just stop, it's too much.
It hurts.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. So like
I'm just gonna go take a quick whiz.
Go for it.
Right.
The
whiz piece.
Totally. So what's in the books for you guys? Like, are you thinking of doing any shows, or are you just gonna kind of chill and keep writing, or like what's the next step for you guys?
Yeah, right now we're heading out to a couple of shows in Europe in July, and firstly it's like in Budapest on a festival, and Germany, and after we're back in Sweden, I guess we'll start recording the 3rd album, because it's already written mostly.
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah, and it's mostly because we have a new guitarist, which we have known for some time now, and we will, somehow reinvent an album we did back in 2012, and so it's gonna be a lot faster, a lot rawer, but still with the melodies and all that stuff. So
hell yeah,
it's gonna sound Imperishable, but with another twist. Just like the difference between the first and the second album.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be a lot of people thinking about this third album. What the hell's going on? Because
Mm-hmm.
no one will anticipate that.
That's rad. I think that's great, because you always want to keep your listeners on your toes, and I think that each album having a new flavor means growth and progression. So it all makes sense. And
and just keeping it honest, no matter what the intentions are. I mean, you can say beforehand that we want to do let's go back to the roots and do an old school death metal album, blah blah blah, but it always turns out another way, that. And so, like I said before, as long as it's honest, I don't care. I don't label stuff. I know a lot of people do that, but I don't care.
No, it just goes back to you're making it for you first, and you just keep doing that. You'll keep making.
Yeah. And I mean, I use all my free time away from my family doing this. So
how many kids you got?
2 kids.
Two kids?
Yeah. So
I got 3 of them over here. I'm actually displaying some of their art and stuff right now.
For the ice cream cone.
Yeah, dude. So over there is Cadence, my 7-year-old. She's worked on that throughout the year and came out really good, dude. I want it framed. There's a little Lego she put together. Oh, actually, Mike's in the way. Lego. Then we got a championship ring, baseball ring for my 9-year-old, and then some art he also did in school. So repping my kids on Father's Day weekend.
Nice.
Yeah. And I just realized now that the mic's been in the way of that Lego the whole time. Nobody's even seeing it. There it is. Yeah, dude. So happy Father's Day weekend to you guys.
I'm the only non-father here, huh?
You are. You're the only non-father, dude.
Yep.
Happy Father's Day weekend to you guys, dude.
Oh, thank you. We don't have Father's Day this weekend, do we?
Yeah. No, maybe yours is different.
In Sweden, we have Mother's Day in May, and we have Father's Day in like October.
Oh, shit. Well, happy Father's Day in October, then, guys.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
It is for us.
I didn't get any paintings or presents.
Yeah, they didn't. These aren't actually mine. They're just made in school, but still, we want to display them, dude.
Oh, of course, I do that stuff too. Like my kids bring home stuff. Like you have to go through it. And it's like sometimes my 5-year-old would like paint, and he's like, "Dad, I painted you and Mom," and it's like, "Look at this in our house," and you look at it and you go, "What the fuck is this again? What are you talking about?" Blur, mashed colors. Like, yeah, it looks great, son. I'll put it on the wall. It's like,
He's an abstract artist. He's going
there you go.
Avant-garde.
I encourage my kids to be as artistic as they want. Just go crazy. Just paint whatever.
Yeah. I definitely give freedom in that department. If you don't mind things getting too messy, if they're, as long as they're just working their brain out and creating something, dude.
Yeah. Encourage that always,
Yeah, it's the best thing.
Yeah, for my 9-year-old, it's definitely art, and now Cadence is, seeing that and being influenced by the big brother. She's starting to get more serious about it too, dude, and I love it. I don't want to be a pushy dad on anything, like I have introduced my kids to some music, but I've tried to naturally like show them less extreme forms of metal before I've showed them some more extreme stuff, even though it really doesn't click. But other styles of music too, but never trying to like push anything on them, you know, just like sprinkling things here and there, you know, encouragement in the right areas in order to, you know, spark a thing to keep going, you know?
Yeah. I totally agree. Totally.
Yeah. And if you push things, it will go the other way around.
That's what I'm avoiding.
You know, only listen to Ramones, they will end up, you know, only listening to Mars Volta or something like that. The other way, you know.
Yeah.
So
I'd much rather listen to the Volta than the Ramones.
I have.
Yeah.
I noticed that when my son's soccer practice two times a week, and he's 5. I mean, they're just fucking rolling around, like playing, goofing around, and there's like a couple of dads like, okay, son, okay, now this is serious. This is practice for the big league. Like, and they have the gear on. Like the dads, they come to the ball game in gear, and it's not even a game; it's practice.
Right.
And these dudes are running around like pushing each other, like goofies, and it's like a few dads, like they're super serious about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, dudes, are you serious? Like,
yeah.
And I'm in my mind, back of my mind, I'm going like that. His son is so gonna hate football when he gets older. He's gonna hate this whole experience because the dads are just like, this and that, and blah, 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 you know.
Totally, dude. And that's great. That's just, I guess, across the board, dude. Because even over there, there's those. I've been dealing with those kinds of guys ever since I put my. Well, I mean, I was in sports too, and I did witness the dads that were super pushy, and I also witnessed what you're saying, the lack of drive in those same exact kids because they're just, you know, being like. Their dads are being so aggressive. There was a dad while we were playing basketball. I was probably in, I don't know, 7th grade. And the dad was so persistent and such an asshole at every game that none of the other parents, they would sit on the opposite end of the bleachers just to not be seen with this guy. And the guy still would act this way every fucking game, dude. He would get kicked out of games and shit. And by the officials and all that kind of stuff, dude, it was wild. But then there's, you know, not so many of those, but still just the guys that you could just see like, you don't need to be this emotionally invested in this like it's a professional football game and your kid's about to get a contract after the season, you know. He's fucking 5.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. He's 5. What are you talking about? Like, if I ask him, like, hey, did a dinosaur come to school today? He'll go, yeah. There was a dinosaur at school. Like, he doesn't know. He doesn't care. He just wants to play football with his friends. It's retarded.
Right. It
that
is.
dad should try music instead. I mean,
I was gonna say he needs a life. He needs to like go pick up a guitar and start writing some riffs and put that energy into something.
We're getting there. I still haven't. He has his own little toy guitar, but and whenever he touches my basses or my guitars, I go like, yeah, you can touch him. Like, bring him over. We'll play a little bit. Plays for a little while. So he strums a little bit and he smiles and stuff. But we'll see where we get. But I have to ask. Talking about sports people like being pushy. Just a side note. Have you guys seen Revenge of the Nerds?
Oh yeah, but it's been a long, long time.
The football coach that John Goodman does. It's like my favorite. Well, it's on par with the Big Lebowski when it comes to acting. Like but on the wall in the locker room it says, "Only the strong shall survive," and he's just beating his players. Just if you ever get a chance, watch it again.
Yeah, I got to revisit it. I remember watching it a long time ago.
Yeah. Just for his performance.
I know it's a classic.
So, goddamn, he's so good in that movie.
I think I only remember Booger because how could you not forget Booger?
Exactly. That's a fun. He has a T-shirt that says "Give me head till I'm dead." I mean, come on. That's amazing. I want that T-shirt.
Amazing life.
Awesome.
I don't even know where we're at now. We're in the weeds like a motherfucker. I don't know how we got out to.
We're deep into Florida State right now.
Yeah.
Deep
But
in
yeah.
the
So,
swamp.
you were talking about how the record is all written and ready to go, and it's putting all your free time outside of the family into writing those riffs and stuff. And so, what do you guys have any loose plans on when you're going to start recording again?
Christmas time maybe.
Yeah.
Because we have 8 songs right now, but they need a little work and a little lyrics and such, and a few demos back and forth, but maybe around New Year's or Christmas, so autumn 2026 maybe, third album.
Mm-hmm. Where do the lyrics come from? Is it mainly just your vocalist that writes them, or do you write any lyrics and incorporate?
No, it's all me.
It's all you. Okay. So have you what's your approach to writing? Like what's your conceptually how do you like to write?
It differs, but I have no education or no, I'm no poet,
Right. No, it's not.
I don't usually write, but like with music, it's like the hard part for me is I seldom listen to vocals. Apart from like death metal, I don't listen to vocals at all. So I cannot say I'm influenced by anyone, but when I write the lyrics, it's same way with music. It's an honest expression, and for us, it's about mostly hardships of life. I can respect people who write lyrics about gore and blood and Cannibal Corpse stuff,
Mm-hmm.
basic death metal lyrics and such, but I've never been too interested in that style. So for me, it's more of again like a Metallica influence. So it's mostly about addiction and the hardships of life, and the darker sides of humanity mostly.
Mm-hmm.
So
saw through your eyes, basically.
Yeah, and mostly your own experience, really, because that's the only thing you have.
Right. Yeah, I gave up on writing gore lyrics pretty early in my death metal career. After Carnivorous, even towards the end of Carnivorous, I had already started to change my writing and make it more real and coming from, again, my own experiences and kept going with that. I love using metaphor now, though. It's a good way to hide little things that only I really know where it came from, but still,
I know exactly what you mean. I have an example from our first album. The lyric is "I am drunk," but the metaphor, which is the lyric, is "under the spells of pearls embracing the divine." So it's a metaphor of hello, I'm drunk, but if you say I am drunk, it's not a great lyric.
Yeah. If you're being literal about it.
About what?
If you're being literal about, being drunk, but actually you're using being drunk as under the spell.
Yeah, like
I'm drunk.
That's actually made me think about my all-time favorite comic. Oh shit! What the fuck is his name? Doug Stanhope.
Oh hell yeah!
he made a joke about that. Like, why songwriting? I really took offense. I was like, but it was funny. He said like, he was like, well, first of all, he hates that people who write lyrics repeat stuff, like in a chorus that comes back. It's like, why would you get paid for it? I can't stand here repeating shit. I got to move on. And
to take that approach as a comic, it would be actually probably ironically funny, but
and he makes it funny too. And then he says, and the whole thing about metaphors and shit, like being all poetic, and he's like, just come out and say it. Just fucking say what you want to say. And like Robin said, perhaps if you're gonna, I am drunk, maybe that doesn't go with the sort of like poetic sort of side of the music or whatever. But I forget which. It's a stand-up special. I recommend anything by that dude. He's
for sure. Stand-up's amazing.
He's bothered by musicians. He thinks,
and he is really himself on stage. Like you've listened to him enough on podcasts that I've heard him on, and he's the same exact guy that's up there. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's nothing fake about Doug Stanhope. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's just a side note. Silly thing.
I mean, I think I heard his home. He didn't even have a front doorknob. He would just let people come in. He would do stand up in his living room.
Yeah. He and his wife is schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Bingo. And they just invite people, comics.
Her name's Bingo, dude.
Yeah, Bingo. She's awesome. I saw them in Copenhagen, and I saw him. And of course, Bingo was there running around in the crowd, being all weird, like all these colors. Her dresses are weird. She's super funny.
That's right.
They live out there in I think they still live out in Bisbee in Arizona.
Yeah, I was gonna say Arizona.
Yeah, and he has fans come by and they sit there, do drugs and drink and smoke weed, whatever, and he does stand up and they just party and hang out like there's been a lot of stuff. There's stuff on YouTube, and then of course he does a podcast. But stand-up, he's probably the darkest. The darkest.
Dark.
The bit about his mom when she died and all that stuff. I'm not going to go into it. Just if you want to check it out, but
that's it out on YouTube.
Yeah, that's some dark shit. Like he is for real. That dude is for real. He makes death metal people look like pussies. You know? Well. Yeah, but
I won't stop itching.
That's really interesting, Robin, about the lyrics stuff, because obviously there's so much to. If you start thinking, when you come to a certain age, certainly you have tons of experience to take from. I mean, pretty much everyone has that, you know. And if you can channel that into a lyric, that's really cool, you know.
Well, also it's just how ideas come too randomly. Like there's a song on Synesthesia that's called Eagle's Tower, and that was just a working title. Just we like to have fun working titles in the beginning, and I ended up just taking that and running with it. And you know, you can read it and interpret it yourself, but the words Eagle Tower, and then you read what I was writing about it. It totally comes from that. And then also we used to have one called Silver Beetle, and that's influenced a new thing that's going to be on the new Odious record that I will eventually be recording, but it's still an idea that was spawned from these working titles. And the Silver Beetle thing's so funny because
it's not the title anymore.
I know it's not the title anymore. Why? But that idea, like,
why? That's a good question.
The fact that it came from David's old car too, that we used to drive to the jam space. He drove a silver Volkswagen Beetle.
He was in college, and like he was like, his dad got a car for him, you know, and he was like, I need a car like to drive around and this and that, and you know, we're like all young, and he's in college, and we're driving up there to Santa Cruz, and he's like, dude, my dad got a deal on this car from his friend. He's like, it's a fucking the most ridiculous car ever. We're like, what is it like? And he's like, just imagine the most embarrassing, stupidest car I could possibly have. And I'm like, what, one of those like new Volkswagen Beetles with the flower holder or something? And he's like, yes. And it's like a Silver Beetle. So the car literally had a flower holder in it and the whole thing. But he drove the shit out of that thing, but it was really funny. Yeah. So that's what and we have a picture of us, like the first Odious pictures we took in 2004 with Joel, and it was before you were in the band, Anthony.
Yeah.
But we took one in front of his Silver Beetle, like all like stupid. So that's
dude. And so that sparked like an idea for the part of the story of the next
Eagles
record. So
Eagles Tower was one that we kept, and I don't even know where that came from. But then we were like, oh wait, that's actually from Zelda. We were like, no way. And then it's like a
Link's Awakening, right?
Yeah, something. Yeah, and then but we didn't even know that. And then but yeah, we kept the title because we liked it. And then Anthony, you wrote a song around it. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, it just sparked being a part of it. Just got the ball rolling for the concept of that song for me.
So, and from interviews we've done before, like of course, like it's a very common thing to have working titles, like, and we've talked about it even with you, Dennis, too. But like, Robin, do you have like working song titles that when you like are writing, you call it something like even as a joke or just whatever?
Yeah, always. But for this next album, actually, I thought about this, and I think it colors the song more than you think. So this next time, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Because I don't want the songs to. Let's say I have a name for a song before it has any lyrics. I think it shapes the lyrics before they suit the song that's finished, if you know what I mean. So, so I don't. From now on, I don't do that, but I have done that in past. Yes, of course. And it's always the silly names, It's like the this is the Hitler song, and this is the Kill Your Mom song, and this is the blah blah blah. And I'm no serial killer, but
Dennis,
can I ask a question, Robin? If I don't know if you talked about it when I was away, but I really love the cover of the new record, the album's artwork. Can you talk a little bit about that? Was that how did that come about?
Yeah, mostly the lyrics for all of the album, but mostly the title track is about drinking until you've forgotten who you are, mostly, and it's that kind of a whirlwind where you end up in the black hole, And I had my doubts when I realized that, oh shit, that's Massacre from Beyond, but not exactly that, but kind of looks like that.
I know what you mean. I had the kind of feeling.
But when I realized, I actually told Juanjo Castellano, who's responsible for the artwork, that okay, so this is the theme I worked out, but it cannot look like this, meaning From Beyond with Massacre. So, and I think it's like everything else. It's an obvious, salutation to something previously done that's, a great piece of art, but, it's not crucial to us, if that makes sense. And I think we succeeded in, getting the feeling with the, the spirits, whirling around into the black hole, blah, blah, blah.
And it doesn't have one thing that struck me that I really liked about it, and I think to just a quick parallel to I can draw to Retromorphosis is that it's not like, if you look at all the, like a big chunk of the death metal album covers, whether it's Swedish or American bands, a lot of them are very soft. The colors are very the lines are sort of blurred, and it looks almost. I mean, some of them are super perfect and very sweet and very like eye candy to look at. With retro, we sort of went like I remember talking to Jonas, and he showed me the first draft of the cover. And I said, "Perfect, just go that way," because it doesn't have the perfect lines. And I got the same vibe from your cover, and it's not putting down the artist in any way. I think it's actually a tribute to the artist, because you know what I mean. It's not like I'm not looking. There was a time when I wanted an album cover like to be perfectly like super perfect and very very soft, but now I like when it's same thing talking about recordings. You know, again at a time I wanted everything to be perfect, pitch perfect, and the cuts and the like stops on the guitars, and now I don't care for that too much. I want it to sound more lively and be more human. And it's the same thing with art, like painted art. I feel way more. I had a bunch of paintings on my walls with Salvador Dali many years ago, and I love his stuff. I still do. I mean, obviously he's an amazing painter, but his stuff is very again very sweet in a way. I like it more dirty now, more rock.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt about your cover. That's why I love it so much. I thought it was really cool that you didn't.
And as for the influences, it's like it's almost a little bit like Eternal Nightmare, Violence.
Yeah.
And also Cabinet, once again, Spawn of Possession, you know.
Oh, really? Oh,
you have this. You're on the way to something darker, and that's the viewpoint, you know. And you know that's the only way you can go. It's so fucking dark in a way. So it's a great theme, and it suits the music as well, I think. Because like we talked a bit earlier, I think, about the melancholy in the melodies and such. No matter what, you know, riff, there is always this undertone of melancholy in my ears, and in one way that's what I'm striving for, because I kind of like that feeling in some way.
That's a great point. You're making a great point, because I never, if I played like you know, thinking about something that's a little darker like that, like, well, Dissection is a great example, I think, because they have a slew of melancholy in their music. But if I play that to my mom, she's gonna feel like, why would you listen to this? This only pulls you down. And I never felt that way with any metal or any extreme music ever. It always feels uplifting to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I can still sense that melancholy. I can still the angst and all that stuff in the music and the lyrics, the whole vibe of things. But for some reason, it you know, I think
in some way all metal musicians are in some way in a metal state where we can relate to that type of angst, or maybe the melancholy of life, or in a way that, and I'm not generalizing whatsoever here, but I think most people, they just go about their day, and they don't have any thoughts about, oh, this is tough, this is something that affects me in a negative way, or I mean, for you guys living in California, I guess you have sun most of the year, but in Sweden we don't have sun most of the year. So we have, it kind of sucks, and
that's a physical thing too, because of the lack of vitamin D.
I think this is a really, really good point, and I think it kind of goes back to like like how people take in art or drama or theater, or going back before technology, like classical music and shit. Like it's like, I don't know, like I think that most people, like the majority of people, they just want to hear like happy stuff or like pop music.
Yeah.
And it like, and that gives them that yeah, I'm happy, and like all this. It's almost like a kid, you know.
Hey,
like,
I'm empty.
It's
yeah, exactly.
candy. It's candy to a kid.
Surface level and it is what it is. But it's just like, you know, if you like, most people were probably not like into the most dramatic classical dark, or like, you know, Beethoven stuff, or even whoever's stuff was whatever period, like the more, because I want to hear like the darkest, craziest classical there is, you know. I want to hear all that. But like most people, it's like the you know, whatever, like Mozart this or whatever, or like, you know, all the like Handel stuff and whatever stuff is like more Christmassy stuff and happy, and it's like I find a lot of people like with metal in general, like it's like, oh, once it starts going in that, like the average person, once it starts getting into that heavier range, they're kind of like, oh no, I don't want to go there, like, and it's like almost like horror movies or something. Oh, I'm scared, I can't watch, or even like not even straight up horror, but like, hey, like Alien or something like, where it's like, once you get, if you're like us who are fans of that stuff, once you get into that, you kind of get hooked, and you're like, oh, this is way more interesting and dramatic, and you get a much more like, it's like Romeo and Juliet, or like whatever, like, or some kind of like shit where it's like, when there's like murder or killing or blood in something, but it's a beautiful story, and it's way more, it's like way more depth. And so some people are afraid to go afraid to go there, right? You're gonna say something? Go for it. If you, please do.
I rewatched the RoboCop original 1987 movie last week, and that movie has that exact thing we were talking about, meaning, I mean, there's a lot of killing and blood and shit, gore, splatter, if you like, but the bottom story is so fucking depressing. It's
yeah.
And
it's like the deepest
what goes with
movie ever
what
made.
do you think? Why do my theory is, I'm just going off of myself, is, and it might sound like a brag, but I don't really get sad for long periods of time. I don't have long bouts of depression if there isn't, you know, a loss in the family or something. But you know, obviously the people do have variations of that. But I look at it as when my drive to listen to sad music is I haven't felt sad in a while, you know. I need to feel a balance. I need to remember what it feels like to be sad, and to think about some of the not necessarily try and be sad about things in the past, but you know, just feeling certain emotions. If you don't go a long period of time feeling any emotion, I would think that your balance would be off.
Some people are afraid to go there. Some people are afraid to go into the darkness.
And they're bound. And I'm obviously not saying any specifics, but I would guess that a person who only listens to happy music all the time is not really emotionally balanced.
Well,
of course not.
That's interesting. I never thought about that.
I mean, I think you're.
But that's just, sorry, Casey, I'm just going to say, isn't that in line with just the whole fake society thing we live in? Like, you borrow money to, I forget who said it, but you borrow money to buy shit to impress people you don't know. Like, you live in this fake bubble, and everything is supposed to be happy and hunky-dory and all that shit. Meanwhile, people now more than ever taking like antidepressants and shit. Fucking drug abuse is rampant, not only like in America but in Europe. It's crazy. And maybe if you're in touch with that dark shit in a, I don't know if I can say healthy way, but you know, like you said,
I think it's perfectly healthy. That's kind of the point that I'm getting to, is that if obviously there's people that have, you know, crossed wires and other types of shit that makes it, no matter what they do, they're gonna be sitting in a chronic depression. But I would think that with the normal person with the normal brain who could be having the same symptoms as the people who have the actual physical problems, could be just environmental and what they expose themselves to. I'm not saying that you need to go out and watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre if you're watching Disney movies all day, but I'm just saying you need to see the opposite, the duality of things and the balance of things and what's in between. You know, there's so many different versions of an emotion that if you haven't felt it in a while, you need to, as a human being, remember what it feels like. And so the music in the film is an easier way than us literally just like something really happening that would, obviously we lose people along the way, or, you know, health scares and shit like that all happen and stuff. So those are the real things. But if you haven't been exposed to that stuff in a while and life's actually going pretty good, it's kind of nice to be like, well, now I know why I'm happy, because I'm not, I'm not feeling the sadness. I remember what sadness feels like when I watch this sad movie or listen to this, you know, Norwegian, like, Over could make me sad as fuck, dude. Shadows of the Sun, that is a sad, melancholy record, dude. And it's all about death and losing people.
As well.
Oh yeah, Perdition City, and obviously the what is it, Berggat or Bergtat, and the Volk one too. Like, there's so much melancholy in that band too that I crave, because I shelved them for a while, and I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to at least feel either mine or somebody else's melancholy sadness.
And I mean, somehow, when I make music, somewhere, somehow, a big, you know, not a wish, but, you know, somehow you expect people to relate to what you're doing, to what you're expressing. And I guess everyone who is saying differently is a big liar, because if you were the only people on the planet, the only person on the planet is me, why the fuck should I do an Imperishable record? Because I'm the only one hearing it.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And so the thing with, you know, the melancholy in the music, most especially from Scandinavia, I think.
Yeah,
it's because we have this emptiness inside. We live in like a winter climate 9 months of the year, and we are pretty much isolated with our own thoughts.
Yeah.
Some of us know how to express that in a healthy way, like we touched upon earlier.
Right.
And for me, that's crucial to surviving. I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have music.
Right. And I think that just metal in general, dude. I mean, there's so many people we've talked to and homies that we've talked to about it, that literally it's one of the reasons why we play this music is because it's a therapy. It's a way to blow off some steam on stage or at a jam space. It's kind of, again, back to that word balance. It's I've Dennis, you were talking earlier about touring and everybody you met was just low key and chill. I think we found a way to balance in this genre of music. There is all these evil and kind of negative parts of being a human being, but the way that we expel it from ourselves is through the music, and not everybody has a way to expel those feelings, and things build up in people.
Yeah, totally. And I think as any artist would probably, I mean, one of my favorite stories about just being an artist and drawing, I'm sure you've seen this and heard about it, but I just love that thing. When they were making, before they were going to make the Alien movie, one of the writers, Dan O'Bannon, he was called to work on a movie for Dune for a guy named Jodorowsky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, over in France, and there was going to be a bunch of artists was going to work on this creation. It didn't happen, famously, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was going to just say there's a great documentary on it that you probably have seen, and the whole. How sick would it be to get a hold of that graphic book that they put together? Yeah. Supposedly they were all given to all the production studios but they just didn't want to back Jodorowsky. No. But I mean, all of his movies, all of his movies are gems to me. But his idea, he was the first guy who wanted to adapt Dune to film.
Yeah. Yes, of course. And then he went to
Lynch did it.
David Lynch did it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but the thing was,
that now that we've just mentioned Lynch, I have to say this, but because he's my all-time favorite director, artist, auteur, everything about that man. That was very, very. That was actually me wearing a Jodorowsky shirt right there. Pop it up again, Casey.
Cool.
Yeah. That's the whole.
Really? What a coincidence! I nailed it, dude.
Yeah, dude. That's a Holy Mountain shirt, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Lynch actually the Dune thing for him was he didn't get final cut, and they cut it and edited it the way that they wanted to, and so he basically divorced himself from it, and there's even copies of that DVD or VHS that came out with no. Lynch said, "Take my name off of it." I forget what the name is, but when a director wants to be taken off of the packaging of something, they replace it with some generic John Doe type name. And there's copies that he didn't want his name on it. So basically from that point forward, he's like, fuck your money. I'll find my money elsewhere because I'm going to make it the way that I want it to be, you know?
And I'm going to go to a quote about what we were talking about, but just because we mentioned this whole story, I love that story. Before David Lynch got the project, you know who was going to direct it after Jodorowsky?
No.
Mm-mm.
Ridley Scott.
Really?
This makes total sense. As far as I know, Ridley was going to do it, and he was in pre-production, and Dan O'Bannon was there, who had met Giger, and all those dudes they were already attached somewhat. But then Ridley's older brother died, so he got depressed and pulled out, or something happened. So he didn't do Dune, and he was going in a Star Wars direction. He said that. I have an interview somewhere where he talks about that. He was going to go Star Wars with Dune and make it his own thing. Instead, when he got out of the shadows of his brother's death, he made Blade Runner. And and that's when Lynch did. No, let me back that up. Shit, I'm sorry. Okay. That happened. But what happened with Dan O'Bannon and everything was with Alien. Dan O'Bannon, when that film didn't happen, Dan O'Bannon wrote Alien with Ronald Shusett, and Ridley Scott got the script and said, "I'll do it, but I don't know how to do the monster." And Dan O'Bannon opened the big Necronomicon book and showed him the Giger Alien.
Because Alien was before Blade Runner, right?
The Alien was before Blade Runner, but after Alien, here we come. After Alien, he got the Dune property, because now he's shown that he had made 2 movies, Alien and the Duelist or whatever it was, and he said, okay, he can do Dune. But then his brother died, and he made Blade Runner, and Dune went to David Lynch. That's the
because Jodorowsky was going to do Dune in the late 70s, right? So it was like before
somewhere around.
Okay, gotcha.
But here's the quote that you probably heard. I'm sorry it took such a long time. It's a cool quote.
It's all good.
So Dan O'Bannon tells this story where he met Hans Rudy Giger for the first time. And anybody who's seen Giger's artwork knows that he was a kind of strange cat.
It's all over my arm.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So so he goes up to meet Giger in France, I guess, and Giger takes out this piece of tinfoil, and he opens it, and there's like opium in it. And Giger asks Donovan, "Do you want some?" And Bannon goes, "Nah. Like, why do you take that?" And Giger says, "Oh, I'm afraid of my visions." And Bannon said, "Well, you know those are just in your head, right?" And Giger goes, "Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of."
That's crazy, dude. Well, I mean, you think about it. Yeah, I have books of his shit. It's some fucked up shit, dude.
Yeah.
And I took a bunch of the characters out of some paintings and put them all on my arm and shit. But when you really look at those paintings and you sit with them for a while, because I would do that for a long time rather than watch TV, have something playing on the stereo, and I'd flip through Giger stuff and man, it's brilliant stuff, but it is fucked up, dude.
Yeah, but that it's a complete reflection on the music we're talking about to me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You can stare at a Giger painting for hours and just find stuff, and oh my God, this is so beautiful. This is so amazing. This is something that someone like Dan O'Bannon, Jodorowsky, and fucking Ridley Scott realized when they saw it. They were like, because they're all artists, they're like, that's beautiful. This is amazing. This is like provoking me, and I'm getting all these emotions going, and that's exactly the type of music we're talking about here, man. It's the same thing.
I think
it is, dude.
Some people are afraid to go there, like mass fans. But like a lot of people are like, like, oh, I won't watch that, or I won't. Oh God, like that's like they're like afraid of that depth of.
If you just walked up on a random person and just opened up a Giger book and been like, check this part out, they'd be like, get the fuck away from me, dude.
Rapist.
It's so funny, dude. Interesting. If you guys had to pick, this is just a random question for all y'all. Like, if you had to pick one movie of all time, like what do you think is like, the best movie like ever made? Like what would be you had to pick one, what would it be? Each of you.
You can't do that to me.
Robin, you go first. What's your favorite?
Jesus Christ. Okay, now I'm biased. No, but I can honestly say that RoboCop.
Wow.
Good one, dude.
Yeah. The theme, the darkness, the drama,
Airheads.
Airheads is a great movie also, and also Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap, dude. Fuck, that's like the best comedy movie.
We watched Spinal Tap in Andy's studio when we recorded Swallowing the World, actually.
Oh, really?
It has a stamp on that record, actually. No, RoboCop for me, but
okay.
The greatest movie ever made.
I'm a big Terminator fan. I'm a big Star Wars fan. So.
Yeah. RoboCop is your vote, Anthony?
No, this is totally the truth. It's Twin Peaks, season 3, The Return, dude.
Is that a movie?
Ooh. It is. He has said definitely in many occasions that it's an 18-hour movie split into 18 parts.
Right,
so I got to call it a movie since the man himself called it a movie.
Okay. And Dennis,
it's his opus, dude. And okay, so if I said outside of that, dude, like just a regular go to the theater movie, dude, it's a hard one for me. There's so many movies that I've connected to throughout my life, Just you can ask me, oh, what's up, dude? What's she doing? You want to say hi? Come on.
Oh,
Kenobi, come.
Oh, it's Kenobi, Obi-Wan.
He's much bigger than the last time he was on.
Kenobi has
over here, bud.
Grown quite a bit. Wow.
He is, dude. He's the knucklehead, but we love him.
Is he your only hope?
Yeah, he's my only hope currently.
Exactly, yeah.
He's what brings. I can't listen to Over with this guy in the room. No way. Yeah, he's a good boy.
So, do you have like a regular All Dogs Go to Heaven or something? Just like a classic, just straight 2-hour kind of movie.
I don't know, dude. I can't. I mean, probably A Clockwork Orange. That would probably be my go-to.
That's a good one.
I definitely. Definitely Kubrick has made a lot of great films, and I came across Clockwork Orange before all the other crazy shit that I like now, and I just think that
it's a great movie.
Cinema in the 70s is some of the most brilliant stuff.
The soundtrack, the synth, Walter Carlos or Wendy Carlos, the fucking the visual atmosphere of that movie is
totally, dude.
Brilliant film.
It has a really deep message in it. You're just showing, you're shown every step it takes to get to the message that is being given, and you go through a brutal process getting there,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of profound statements made in the story of that film, and it's brilliantly shot. It's a beautiful film. The acting is real. The chicks are hot.
It's a little rapey, but beyond that, it's cool.
I think what's his name? The guy who played Alex. I'm spacing on his name.
Malcolm McDowell.
Dude, he actually, during that scene where he's, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, when he's having to watch all the violence. I know it's a 50-year-old film, whatever. What he did suffer like eye injuries from those things that he was sitting in, because he really had to sit
all the hope in his eyes and shit.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
That's before fucking CGI and all that bullshit. Like we're talking about the human aspects of art. That is somebody, you can't punch that in. You can't I hope he took that, because if he had to do several takes of that, dude, Jesus.
Yeah.
But I think they scratched both his, what is it, the cornea?
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
I think I know Dennis's, but I'm gonna let I've got a vote in my brain.
Dennis, before I say mine, I'm super nerdy about films. So the first thing is,
I know I've had conversations with you.
Robin, you mentioned before you love the darkness of RoboCop. Have you seen Paul Verhoeven talk about what he wanted to, what kind of story he's telling about about Jesus Christ and all that stuff?
Yeah, I've seen that once only, but I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. Like it's about the resurrection, and by the end of the movie, he's walking on the water and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was so fucking. I was like, whoa! I gotta rewatch that fucking movie. It's amazing. I got it on Blu-ray on the director's cut. Like, seen it a billion times.
And about that, every piece of art has layers.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
The greatest art have, lots of layers, and that's what's intriguing me about RoboCop in particular, but also other films, of course. But yeah, Paul Verhoeven is a genius.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, is there a thing we can see that where he's explaining that? Is there like a YouTube video or something?
Oh yeah. I think he mentions it in the documentary, but you can find other interviews when he talks about the resurrection and also that's a great. Was Ed 209 Judas? That's a really good question. No, because he wasn't Ed 209 who killed him. I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat.
Interesting. Yeah.
No, it was, and I just got to say, before I mention mine, I just got to say, this is from the heart. Clarence Bodiger, the bad guy in RoboCop, is, in my opinion, the best bad guy in any movie ever. I used to think it was George Clooney in From Dusk to Dawn. He's such a fucking badass with the sleeve and all that. His little gun, he just carries. But I got to say, Clarence Bodiger in RoboCop. If you don't think, go back and watch him. He's the baddest of the bad. Total psychopath, beautifully played. But anyway,
okay.
And also
it's
Anthony,
him and the Darth Vader, of course.
Yeah, of course. But Anthony, I totally agree with everything you said with Clockwork Orange, because I fucking love that film. I think it was probably the first Kubrick film I ever saw, and then I
was it.
Yeah,
I'm fuzzy on whether it was 2001 Space Odyssey or A Clockwork Orange first for me.
But you're
Both great films.
Yeah, you mentioned like the beautiful footage and all that stuff, and the lighting is exceptional. What I didn't know that what I learned later was that it was a very much a low budget film. That Stanley Kubrick went from having a big budget, doing big things, going to that one, basically scratching everything and saying, "Oh, I'm going to go guerrilla with this one." And you look at it, and it's a fucking masterpiece. Like shot scene by scene, it's incredible. Like
something about just his pick on actors too, because they really sell it, dude. All of the people in his movies sell it.
Yeah, totally.
And side note, Stanley Kubrick's favorite film, Eraserhead by David Lynch.
Exactly. Very good. Okay, so my pick is I would love. I think, Casey, if you had to bet, you think I would say Blade Runner, and Blade Runner is definitely up there, definitely in my top 3. But no, I've been thinking about it, and I gotta say, dramatically, the acting, the music, like everything from the first frame is Godfather Part 2. And I know but I got to go with that one. It's perfect to me. It's the darkest movie, one of the darkest movies I know. Even though it's not obvious, but the first time I saw it, and when Fredo goes out on that fucking boat, spoiler alert,
amazing.
It fucking broke my heart, man.
Dude. I agree. That's so funny. I was just talking about Godfather 2 today on the golf course because my oldest came with me, and we had showed him Godfather 1, and we're waiting for a good window for us to start Godfather 2, and he's itching to watch it, dude. He's sat right now. He's at the point where he's like, but the Don's not going to be in it anymore. I'm like, dude, there's a new Don, dude.
Yeah.
You know,
and just the way Al Pacino just like he plays it down so brilliantly, like he's so low key, like you don't expect him to be so incredibly dangerous that he like you say, he's the Don. He's got to go. And there's a scene where like one of his drones, whatever, says like, do you feel like you have to wipe out everyone? And he goes like, no, I don't feel like I have to wipe out everyone, just my enemies. Like that sums him up to me. Like all these little nods to like complete power, complete domination. Just fucking kill anybody in my way. You're all gonna die. Like he doesn't care. In the same meeting, I think one of them says like, he wants to kill the old dude, and he goes, that's like killing the president of the United States, or that's like killing whoever. He says the consigliere, and he says, you surprised me. Like if history's taught us anything, is that you can kill anyone. I mean, that's his mindset. He thinks about who he's going to kill next. You know, it's like that. He's that fucked up, and like his wife has a miscarriage, and he goes, "Was it a boy?" That's the first thing he asked. Like, was it a boy? He goes, I don't know, and he gets all upset. And then obviously it was she did it herself. And the eyes Al Pacino. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I can talk about that movie.
No, dude, it makes perfect sense, dude. I would not oppose somebody saying that would be their all-time favorite film.
It is. It has to be. And I know it's kind of generic. A lot of people, but it really artistically, the music, the mood, the acting, the cut, like the darkness of it. It's super dark movie. If you think about it, you basically just see silhouettes. And the same goes for the first one. It's just so dark and just so like fucking. And I think about the journey that Michael Corleone has made. Like they tried to kill his father, and then they killed his father, killed his brother. Like they killed his wife in Italy, in Sicily. Like
somebody who didn't even want to be involved in the family in the first one in the beginning.
Yeah. And Francis Ford Coppola is like super brilliant. Like he's up there with Kubrick and all the great ones. Amazing.
Totally.
Yeah. So KC, go.
Yeah. So That was really good. Yeah, dude. So that was the one I was thinking would be your favorite, but wow,
Oh, really?
really yeah, Blade Runner is what I
Oh,
meant.
yeah.
But that was very so. And just to throw back, just real quick before I say mine, which is probably obvious because, but like basically, I, forever, it was taking me back when you're talking about Godfather to a memory relating to our conversation a bit earlier about like, so like I was a kid and like I was hanging out with a certain family and it was like I was starting to get into more like heavy music or like, but I was like a preteen or something. So it was like Smashing Pumpkins and like I was just getting the Nine Inch Nails and that kind of shit. But it was like, I wasn't into like metal yet, but like it was like all the family and everyone like, it's like nobody watched horror movies. Nobody was into extreme music. No one, there was no darkness in art or film in any way that I'd really been exposed to much at all. And I remember we were staying with some family and they had the Godfather movies on VHS, these big, like all the Godfather
box
series,
sets, yeah.
however many tapes there were for all the movies and shit. And I remember like we watched them and shit. And I was just like, and it was kind of like that was their exception of like, okay, yeah, we're gonna get dark here though. Like we'll go the Godfather movies is like our pass. Like, and that kind of later led to like Sopranos and stuff like that, like a show where it's like, yeah, these people might not really usually watch violent stuff or dark shit or like that kind of heavy of like drama and art, like to where it's like straight up brutal. It's kind of brutal, but like it was like Godfather was that exception. It was like, yeah, but those movies, like I'll go there for those movies, you know what I mean? So like I was like, and I remember like watching them just being like, dude, this is brilliant. Like I was like, I had no idea like how fucking crazy these movies were. Like, I remember we watched all three, but of course the first two, it was just like, whoa, dude, holy shit. Like that was, I remember that vividly, and so ever since, and I've watched them again a few times since then and everything, of course, but I remember that made a huge impact on me, but for me, surprise, my all time, if I had to pick one, would be Terminator 2.
Speaking of sequels that are better than the first one, in my opinion,
that's rare.
Godfather 2, Terminator.
Oh yeah,
2.
good point.
There's
yeah,
one
exactly.
more.
Yeah.
There's one more sequel.
One more sequel that's better than the first.
Which one?
No, just guess one more.
Aliens.
Oh yeah, Aliens.
Oh, Aliens. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's better than the first one because that would be a stretch. But come on, it's insanely good sequel.
The one that we're gonna have to add to the list soon is Spaceballs 2. You guys hear?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that.
I know.
Oh my god.
So I've always been.
Yeah, I have one thing to add.
For
KC there. Before I knew English, mostly, maybe I knew a few words, but before I knew English, I carved "No Fate" into a chair of my grandmother.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The way that Sarah Connor does that thing before she goes berserk.
Hell yeah. That's right, dude. Yeah. So for me, I was gonna say is like, okay. Before I talk about Terminator, I'm not gonna go that long on it, but the point is that like James Cameron versus Ridley Scott in that era, and of course, you got Alien, and then the first Terminator, and then Aliens, and that whole era of then Terminator 2, and that whole kind of the 80s basically. But of course Terminator 2 came out like 90, 91 or something like that. 92. I can't remember what year it came out, but 92. And so as far as Alien versus Aliens, of course Ridley Scott did Alien and James Cameron did Aliens. There, to me, that's like I've always just been like they're like 100% equal in terms of what's better. But I think it comes down to a difference of Ridley Scott versus James Cameron. I mean, that's kind of the whole point, like, right? And so, and that's very apparent in the two movies and how they are different. I feel like Ridley Scott like tends to lean more on long, drawn out, like cinematic or scenery, like vibes and like atmospheres. He's like there's less packed with action and the less actiony, I guess. But then there is tons of action, but it happens. It's more drawn out. It's a different style, and he's always been more like that. And like whereas James Cameron's like, all right, we're fucking bringing in the military with the things and that, and all that kind of shit. But it's like maybe more entertaining in a sense, but it's like hard to say like what's better. Like it's like almost like what are you in the mood for? It's a little different. But I'm a huge Ridley Scott fan, even though there's movies and stuff that I don't really care for as much. Like it's okay, he's not perfect, no one's perfect and stuff, but I really like the show Raised by Wolves, and I did think that was really sick. And of course I love Blade Runner and a bunch of his shit. But yeah, but I am still choosing my favorite movie of all time as a James Cameron movie, so it's like but the reason with Terminator 2 is just besides everything, I saw that in the theater when I was like 8. My dad took me and my sister, and it was just like, it was just a crazy time. It was like very nostalgic for me. Like my parents were not doing great, and so it's like it was this whole thing where my mom would have never let us go to go see it. My sister was 4 and I was 8, and we went to go see Terminator 2 in the theater. I remember sitting there vividly, and all of a sudden the fucking things cracks the skull, like the leg, and it like startled me all crazy. And so it's just like that movie to me has like just everything, and it's just I'll watch that movie a million times over and over forever. And now it's like, of course, all the AI shit and everything. It's just like the perfect, like it's so that movie does not. The movie it ages so well.
It's
it's like it's a perfect movie.
Yeah.
So
hey guys, I don't know how long you want to go, but I actually got to cut out, dude. I got a dinner thing that we're doing tonight, so
we can finish it off, dude. It's all good. Just do your thing.
Cool, man. Guys. Well, hey, Robin, so awesome to meet you, dude. You're rad as fuck. I love your music, dude, and I'm glad that we can have you on to show our listeners how sick your band is, dude, and send them your way.
Thank you, man. And I'm just grateful to be on here, actually. So
that's rad, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
I hope it's been a good time for you. Obviously.
Yeah, of course.
3 hours. So
yeah.
And then Dennis, dude. Always a pleasure with you, Dennis.
Yeah,
dude, you're the fucking bro. You're the homie, dude. And I'm glad we got to catch up and chat. Nerdy stuff and music and movies and all that shit. I had a great time with it. And Casey, I love you to death, dude. Thanks for holding it down in the beginning.
I like you too, man.
Let me hack it up at the golf course and just embarrass myself. I was actually thinking about when we were talking about gear that makes you better. It's like, no matter if I bought the sickest clubs right now, got the sickest shoes, I'd still be a shitty golfer, because I don't practice. So do your fucking practice, and then you can obviously get your 10,000 hours in and become fucking Tiger Woods or whatever, Yeah. Do that. Yeah. Be the Tiger Woods of death metal, guys. All right. I love you, and happy Father's Day to all you fathers out here, and have a good time with the rest of your weekend, y'all.
Right on, bro.
Later, dudes.
Later, Tony. Excuse me. All right.
Casey, can I throw in a nerdy thing I read about T2? I read it today, actually. I've read it a bunch of times before, and I didn't get it. It's a special effect thing. All right. And if I apologize now because I might have it wrong, but I think I finally got it today. I got it right. Okay. So
go for it.
Okay. What's his name? Robert.
I'm so sorry, Dennis. I accidentally muted your mic. I had no idea how that happened. Say that again. That was totally my fault. Sorry.
Okay. So what's his name? Robert Patrick, right? T1000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he's driving in the trenches, chasing John Connor on the dirt bike. You know what I mean? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course. Oh yeah.
Okay. James Cameron wanted Robert Patrick to focus more on the acting, being the T1000, which is he's a robot. and he didn't want him to actually drive the truck.
Hmm.
Have you heard about this?
No.
No. Okay. So what they did was he is on the passenger side in reality with a fake steering wheel, and his everything on the truck is letters and the plate, everything is reversed. And on his left side and actually staring is a real driver, stunt driver, something who's hiding with some black cloth over him, and he is actually driving the truck. Robert Patrick is not driving in those trenches. And then when they shoot it, and then they not reverse, how do you say? They mirror the footage.
Yeah.
So he's on the right side of the truck. Well, sitting on the right side to drive. So
Right.
when you watch that scene, and I've watched it knowing this, and it's impossible to tell, but I've read about this many times. If you see the way he's sort of jacking the steering wheel and everything, and his face is he doesn't flinch, he doesn't blink or anything.
Right.
And I guess when he was driving it for real, he was making faces, because you do when you're driving such an action, sequence in high speed.
Okay. Yeah.
It was just a super goofy
trip, dude.
Think about that.
Sense. I can think about that part where he's just like a machine. Looks like he's like a machine driving.
And I guess when he was actually driving, he couldn't make that straight face.
Yeah.
So they had to figure it out. And of course, the brilliant James Cameron, who's a genius. He's a genius. He was like, okay, let's do it this way. It's insane. Oh, I just got to throw in, if you're into that stuff, have you checked out Michael Bihn's podcast? You heard about this?
No.
Okay, so Michael Biehn, the guy who played Hicks in Aliens, and John, no, not John
Connor's dad.
Yeah, John Connor's dad in Terminator. Yeah, and he was in Abyss. He was in 2 or 3 Cameron films.
Is Kyle Reese?
Yeah, that dude.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
He has his own podcast, and he has had a bunch of people from Reese. Yeah. He has had a bunch of people from Aliens on his podcast, like Jeanette Goldstein, who played Vasquez, and the other dude, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's very true. But I strongly recommend it. The episode I just watched was like 90 minutes of just talking about how they made The Abyss and his experience on The Abyss.
Oh yeah,
and how fucking insane, Cameron and all that stuff, and all the money and all the fucking and he's like seems like a super honest kind of guy. Like he just tells it like it is. So it's Michael Biehn podcast. Just Google that if you're interested. And cool. He has a producer guy who helps him and stuff. It's a great podcast. Oh, okay, fuck it, whatever. Terminator 2, Casey, great choice. Amazing choice.
Yeah. I have no choice but to make that choice. It's like I'd be lying if I picked something else. I have to be honest. It's like, oh, it's totally that.
You were asking us about the weather. Now I got to ask you a relevant question here. You live in California out there. Have you ever been to the Skynet building and all that stuff? Have you ever gone to any seriously? I would have done all of those.
You mean like the film, like the actual locations, filming locations? No, dude, I haven't. No, I haven't. That's a
standing in front of Nakatomi Plaza taking a selfie, like, hey,
John
McClane.
No, dude.
Wow.
No, I mean,
I would go to the beach in fucking Karate Kid and have put a little bonfire and go and play that music. Just sit there for not listen, thinking about Karate Kid. If I were you, man, I would do.
No. Yeah, I don't spend a lot of time up in LA and stuff. We have a lot of places around, and in Santa Cruz, there's this is the bridge they did the Lost Boys or the Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and the downtown and all that shit.
Cool.
And there's but I'm in San Diego and stuff, and so it's I haven't really spent a ton of time up in LA except for playing shows or going to shows, and I dated a girl like 20 years ago that she was from LA. So we spent time up in, in the valley and stuff with her family. And so we would cruise around. That was like probably the most time I spent in LA. Like when we were living up north in the Bay, but like we would come down and stay. And so like, Van Nuys and, all these areas and stuff. And we'd cruise around a lot. But yeah, no, man, it's like, I feel like there's so much of that in LA that it's just like, where do I begin? Like which, it's like, I don't even know where to, there's too many,
When you say the Valley, do you mean San Fernando Valley?
Yeah. I mean, her parents were in Van Nuys or whatever, So, what was the area? Was that called, or is that I'm so bad with the areas.
The only reason I know of the name is because of movies like E.T. and Poltergeist and shit like that. Well, it was in the Valley, man. And if you come from the Valley, you're sort of like if you watch a movie like Thrash and the skateboard movie.
Yeah,
they're from the Valley. They're not cool enough.
Valley girl.
That's my only reference. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I had a buddy in Pasadena, and I have, it's like I have friends in different areas and stuff, but it's just like I don't spend enough time. I'm so bad with that area. Like I don't even know. I can't, especially right now. I can't even think of. Back then, I was, I was much more versed in the. Yeah, it's been a minute, but the last time I was up though, I got a buddy who lives, and he's shout out to Richard Houghton. He was on the podcast we did a few months back with our original guitar teacher and Thomas Mellon, the organ player. He plays everything, piano, organ, everything. But Richard is like full-time music producer up there. Like but he makes his own stuff, and it makes a complete living off just like his music and on Spotify and everything. And he makes like very like cool, like electronic-y, like instrumental, like mixed like stuff. He's done soundtracks and all kinds of things, and he does quite well. But he lives in an area, I can't remember the name of the area, but it's near, I think, USC. And there's like he lives in this big like hill, and you can cruise up this hill. And then I took a picture of it like with the sun setting, and you can see downtown LA like in the background. And to me, that was kind of my like Terminator 2. Like it looks like kind of the whole like I have like a picture on my little page or my Instagram. Cool. But he's a cool dude. Then we went to go see Marty Friedman down in Hollywood at at the Whiskey. So that was super fun. That was a few months back. But that was like the last time I've really spent time up there and stuff. But yeah, man, it's just it's interesting growing up. I mean, California, like Southern California, is just so much that, like, I don't know, like as kids, we'd go to Disneyland and those kind of things, or like, Universal Studios, and you go check out, all this stuff. But I don't know, San Diego's a different vibe though. Like we're down here, so like it's, a couple hours north, and we kind of tend to stay in your zone. So we're kind of just like, like, and there's all this like, LA is too much. It's too hectic for us. We're kind of like, San Diego's hectic enough, so we just eat tacos and go to the beach. I mean, that's like our thing here. It's like, so, but, yeah, man, it's super fun. Like, I don't know. It's really fun going to shows and getting out of that bubble and, experiencing that. So,
when are you coming to Sweden to visit us?
Yeah, exactly. I need to, dude. I know.
You need
that's
to.
the next plan. Yeah, for sure. No, dude, I want to. That'd be sick, dude. Yeah.
If you play with retro, I will be a front row banger.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
I have no hair, but I will bang my head as hard as I can all the time. So
it would be amazing. Like,
yeah.
Like if you would come over, I mean, I'm pretty sure like, well, Christian is pretty far away.
He's in Mexico.
He's in Mexico. So I mean, we could do like a show or two. And I'm Robin, I'm pretty sure I would definitely put you on a guest list. You're my first name on the guest list if you want to share that. Yeah, but that would be fucking. Yeah. That would be really cool.
Like, but only in Mexico.
Oh no, just get
he
could fly up here, and we could fly out together.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I would love to go to Mexico and visit Christian, like hang out there with the palm trees. But I'm sure that But I don't think Christian would mind if the money's right. I mean, he would totally go. I think. Like,
yeah, we're all trying to get back into doing these playthrough videos and stuff. I know Jonas is working on that too. And
Yeah.
I kind of injured myself a few months back, and I couldn't walk for like, it was crazy, dude. I like really fucked myself up. But I think it was right after trying to make a playthrough video, and I got one done, but it wasn't like the final one. I was just kind of goofing around testing stuff. And dude, like I like screwed myself up. So now I'm like doing physical therapy and like trying to learn to stretch, because I think like my sciatic nerve, I screwed it up. So, gotta get into shape, dude. Gotta it's like I'm gonna start like really, like I got in general gotta get, because I work in like in IT and I teach outside of that, but it's just like all day on computers, and I don't get like exercise, and I gotta really basically the point is playing death metal or playing any of these styles of metal that we play takes, especially at our age, like takes like it takes more than just like, oh, I'm gonna go do it once a week and kill myself on the drums. Like, dude, I'll hurt myself. I literally did it. So, and I know that's what did it, because now I'm in no pain and I'm not playing and I'm taking a break, but it's like I got to get back on, and it's like it's in my brain festering, and I want to play. So the point is, now I learned, okay, if I just got to stretch and do this and do these things and mixture of all the shit and get in the gym and all that, and then it's going to be great. So that's my whole thing, is just, we got to, I mean, it's just like a lot of us, we got to take care of ourselves. And especially as you get older, it's different, and everyone's got some shit, like, or, Christian with his focal dystonia and all that, but he has his solution for that. And, Erlen's just a machine, so he can do anything. But but I want to play. It's fun shit, and I love the music, and it's super fun to play it. So playing is rad. It's cool when you're in that zone where you're just like killing it.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's a nice
that's
feeling.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
like I had that feeling with you guys when I saw you with Imperishable, when you play here.
Nice.
I thought it usually takes a couple of songs to get into it, but I felt like I was standing in the middle of the room, like straight on, like watching you guys, and I felt you were connecting. It was really good, and I thought it was my friends. There was actually the original bass player that played with me and Jonas way back, and he was there, and he's still doing the same thing. Listen to vinyls, drink whiskey. And he's into that old stuff. And we were talking about, like, goddamn, like, you guys really delivered, and fucking great front man. I forget your singer's name.
Henrik.
Henrik was just great. Like, he really just took care of the crowd perfectly. I thought it was a really good show, man. Really good.
Thanks, man. And
you guys ever come out to the States or anything? Or?
Yeah, I would like that. I mean, that's childhood dream of mine to play in the US, but I mean, I guess it's been harder the latest or since the pandemic, I guess, to get artist visas, or
yeah, it's probably
so. And then there's the money, always money. But yeah, of course, that's a dream to play in San Diego or the Bay Area, or Florida, maybe.
Yeah.
Headline a festival in Sunrise, Florida.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, the US is funny. It's like the West Coast all the way up and down, and then the East Coast all the way up and down. There's like a lot to do there. And Texas in the middle, there's a lot. And there's, of course, other, Chicago and places in like the middle of the country. And Nashville, and there's a lot of spots all over. And but it's, or like Vegas, or there's a lot of places that are in the middle-ish or different sides that are great to play too. But it's kind of just like, it's almost like if you just, trying to think of like financially, if or even if Retro came out, or or we both played together, that'd be sick. But say like it was just did a West Coast run up and down, you could even hit Vegas in that kind of range, but like going up and down, up to Seattle, playing Portland, playing Bay Area, SF Sacramento, do a couple Southern California shows. Usually it's like somewhere in LA, like Hollywood, and then play in like Santa Ana, it's like further south. You don't always play in San Diego. We can, but Santa Ana is not too far up north, so it's like in between. It's like Orange County. So, but we got Brick by Brick down here. There's always, if the metal shows come through, if they're bigger, they play down in the observatory or like a bit bigger places. But most of the metal shows that come through, it's like San Diego. I don't know. Basically, you could, I don't know. It might be like better to do just a West Coast run, like for a week or two, as opposed to like driving around the entire United States. Like, it's so far, dude, to drive to Arizona, to drive to Texas, and then to all the way to Florida, and like that whole. It's just, man, it's just so.
What
big.
about Albuquerque or Memphis?
Yeah, I mean, no, we've played the Gathering of the Sick Festival out in Albuquerque a bunch. That's cool. And Memphis, yeah, we've played there for sure. I mean, Tennessee, Nashville, Memphis, different cities out there are also great. Cool. I don't know, but I don't know. It's just the U.S. is so gigantic with a lot of nothing for so long that you're driving, and it takes that's why these tours are like 6 weeks or around, and you're just like, man. But I don't know.
But that's the thing, like, and I can totally relate, Robin, going to like the US. That was number one for me, and I think for most guys in the band when we finally went. We went out for 7 weeks, and we did the whole loop. Like we went through the whole. We played like 30 shows or something, and it was crazy. But I knew it, but I didn't expect it. Like Casey says, like we would be driving. We would get up and sit in the bus, just looking at nothing, just driving. It's just like, I thought this is not the America I saw on TV. You know what I mean? I saw skyscrapers and fucking Beverly Hills and all that movie shit, but it was
Grand Canyon everywhere in between.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like everything's Vegas, and it's just not like that. And it was. But that's interesting what you're saying, Case. I never thought about that. What you could do is basically like if someone would fly over a band or two and do like you said, a West Coast run, because you get the nice weather and all that stuff, and just like go and play like maybe anything between 5 and 10 shows.
You could also play, of course, in Canada too. So it's like, ideally it would be like, it's like Vancouver, or at least one Canadian show, maybe Victoria or something like on the west, and then come down Seattle, of course, and then of course at least one, probably Portland. Like I said, all the then California all the way down. You could even do a show in Mexico or something, like that whole West Coast run. Of course, it gets a little more tricky with the border stuff.
Yeah,
but not. I mean, if you got passports and everything, I don't know. But then on the East Coast, same thing. It's like go down to Florida, play Tampa or whatever, Miami or like wherever. And then Atlanta's great, dude. It's always a good time. Or North Carolina, those places we play there a lot, and Raleigh, whatever it's called, and or like Virginia all the way up, of course, New York, New Jersey, and all that shit. And then go up to Montreal. You got to play Montreal if you're on the,
Yeah, we play there.
Yeah, Montreal is like the best.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. But like the funny part is like those are on the either coasts, and then everything in between is cool and great, but there's just so much driving and so much and it's like, dude, I've never toured the US in a bus, so like it's always been in either a truck or a van, and just rough living, dude. And it's like bathrooms are like horrid to discuss. Everything's like, it's just
you in the motels and shit, right?
Sometimes, yeah, but it's like it's rough, dude. I mean, I don't know how it's been so long since I've toured that it's it's like 2009 was the last time I've toured like that. So but yeah, I mean, the bigger bands have a bus, and that's like your environment. Like when we toured Europe, it was in a bus. That was great. But yeah, some of the drives, dude, it's like, especially if it's in like winter conditions or something like that, you're like, okay, we got to leave. And then you get like snow and you get all this, and you can't, like, it could be like 14-hour drive to the next venue and stuff. It's just like 400-mile drives to each, it's like, Jesus, it's just too big. But anyways, shows are great and all that, but it's funny. Yeah, that we've talked about this a bunch on the podcast, but like the coasts are kind of like the thing. But again, it's like if you're flying out from Europe and you're paying all that, you're here, you know, you might as well like take the time to try to do the whole country, but it might just be more financially, might make more sense to do like a 10-day or like a 2-week tour on one coast and then just go back, you know. I don't know. And then but
yeah. Hey guys, I
so.
got to kind of duck out in a minute.
Yeah,
here,
dude.
so I'm sorry.
No worries. No, we can wrap it up. It's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been a fun fucking hangout. We went longer than we even initially expected, and that's always rad. So, you know, but yeah, dude, thanks for coming on, guys, and all that shit. And is there anything else you want to say, Robin, about what you guys are doing? Or I mean, we've kind of touched on it, but
I'm just super satisfied to be a part of this, you know, and for all the guys listening, check out our music, you know, buy stuff, because if you buy stuff from us, maybe we can get to the US someday.
Yeah.
And
Bandcamp, right? It was imperishable.bandcamp.
yeah,
That was the
I think so, yeah. But I mean, if you Google Imperishable Sweden, you will find everything, you know. And I mean, Imperishable Band is our moniker on most sites, I guess. But yeah, I think if you search for it, you will find it. And
yep, Imperishable Band. Oh, it's imperishableband.bandcamp.com. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So I'll post this in the comments here.
Band.band.
Band. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very sexy.
Cool. Nice.
And mind you, this was when this was before when I registered that account. This was before we even, you know, made any music. So that's the one available. So, and later on, I found out that there are some guys from Nile, I think, having a band called Imperishable as well. But
really?
At the time, when I discovered the Imperishable name while watching the first season of True Detective with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, they mentioned this Bible quote somewhere, and I thought, Imperishable, ooh, that's cool. I looked it up on Metal Archives and nothing. So that's the band name, but then later on I realized that some guy from Nile or live guitars from Nile, I don't know, who actually used that before us, but who cares? So
okay, yeah. So you guys are, is it Napalm Records?
No, Hammerheart.
Okay, so I'm trying to find. This is selling your stuff on Napalm.
Yeah, they are affiliated with Hammerheart. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So that's
they
it.
usually do those deals between the labels, like you sell our shit, we sell your shit.
I see. I can see like stuff on here. Okay, they're
like Hammerheart releases the stuff, and then Napalm is the distributor mostly. I think I'm not into the details of that. Yeah.
This is pretty cool. So you guys have all these vinyls and shit.
Yeah.
This is sick, dude. Really fast. I kind of want to just show this really quick. These look really cool. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Dope, dude. Yellow, orange, black splatter vinyl. That's cool.
Yeah. It's all for the Germans.
Oh, that's the first one. Yeah.
You know, in Sweden, we only like black vinyl because we like vinyl. And then in Central Europe, you got to have the splatter, or you got to have the colored vinyl. It's obviously better.
Yeah,
you know? So
it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's the case. I know.
That's how it is out here too. Everyone's doing all the crazy vinyl stuff and like liquid in it and weird oils, and it's all the trippy and all this shit. Yeah, it's sick.
I actually have a like a first press of the first Saw movie, where it's blood floating in the cover of the DVD.
Oh, really?
So if you turn it
Nice.
around, there's blood floating on the cover. So
It's totally cool.
Did you hear about when Morbid Angel was doing the Domination album? Have you heard about that? The CD, they put it in a digipack sort of casing, and they put slime in it.
Yeah.
Started melting and corroding like in the truck. So it was like the whole shipment melted, and there was like smoke. And people almost died from it.
Yeah. I have seen one of those.
Really?
It's like the Domination cover, and then in the right corner, it's like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle just died.
That's awesome.
So, not a great idea, but a great idea, but not in reality.
Jeez,
it didn't work. Too good.
How funny.
Well,
right on, dudes. Thanks for coming on again. And Robin, great to meet you, man. Fucking check out their album. It's fucking great. Swallowing the World, right? Imperishable. And fucking Dennis, great to have you back as always, brother.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me on for this episode. That was an honor to have being on, and Robin, like first time, it's amazing. It's good to hear your story, man.
And I can say greatest sidekick ever.
Thank you.
Totally.
And also thanks to Guttural Reef for many insightful comments.
Yeah.
I know, right? Stuck with us the whole time. Fuck yeah, dude.
Love you too, man.
Hell yeah, brother. Awesome, dudes. Well, you guys have a fantastic night, I guess. It's getting late for you, but midday for me here. But awesome, dudes. Thanks again for coming on, and talk to you soon, and appreciate it.
For sure.
Thank you, guys.
Dudes. Later.
Later.